And you're live, Mayor.
Thank you, James. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newington Town Council regular meeting of Tuesday, December 14th. If you would all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. The pledge, I apologize. I paused a little bit because I can hear everybody else and we weren't quite in sync, so it's difficult on Zoom. All right, next item on our agenda this evening is our roll call. If you would please, James.
Certainly. Councilor Braverman?
Here.
Thank you.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Berdraco?
Here.
Councilor Camillo?
Here.
Councilor Donahue?
Here.
Councilor Mankey?
Here.
Councilor Nagel?
Here.
Councilor Page? Absent at this time. Councilor Rada?
Here.
Mayor Del Buono?
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Moving on, the next item is approval of our agenda. I understand there are a few proposed changes. Councilor Mankey?
Yeah, I'd like to make a few changes just because the length of the agenda that could bring us back past the time to take votes. So if I would propose we'd move item 9, 10, and 11 up before new business or the first part of new business. Just so we can take action on those items before the witching hour of 10:30.
Okay, and then there's another item that we were going to add, a job description, I believe.
Yeah, then I would also wish to add under 8, add H, a job description for the facilities department. So it's really moving those 3 items up and then adding an H, job description to facilities department.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilor Rada. We did receive an email today with the new information regarding that job description. No action is being sought this evening on that item. It's just to introduce it.
Right.
Any other discussion on that? Oh, I don't have the ability to lower hands, James, so that's going to be on you.
I'm sorry.
Give me the,
I got it.
thank you. All right, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right. Now that we have approved our agenda, we will move on to awards and proclamations. This evening, we have 5 awards, which is wonderful. The first of which is a retirement for Mark Ripley from our Parks and Grounds staff. James, is Mr. Ripley on with us this evening?
He will not be with us. He chose not to attend the meeting.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read that into the record. And I know Mr. DeMayo's here, so he may want to add some remarks when I'm done. Let me go ahead and read that in. Proclamation. Whereas Mark Ripley has been a Newington Parks and Grounds staff member for 33 years. And whereas Mark was responsible for supervising the park staff and the maintenance of the park system and cemeteries, which included mowing, leaf removal, snow removal, and trash removal for all municipal properties, including firehouses, schools, library, senior center, and government center. And whereas Mark spearheaded the construction of the Newington Rotary Pavilion at Churchill Park. And whereas Mark excelled at leading the park staff in decorating downtown Newington for the holiday season. And whereas Mark was actively involved in coordinating the snow plowing for the department. And now therefore be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby recognizes and extends its sincere appreciation to Mark Ripley for his professional service and his dedication to the town, and wishes him the best in his retirement. Dated in Newington, Connecticut, this 14th day of December 2021, signed Beth Del Buono, Mayor. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Mankey. Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Any discussion on this? All right, I don't see any hands. I would just like to say A special thank you. I know I read the words, but to see a staff member that's been here for 33 years and done all that he's done for our town in those years, I just want to extend my personal appreciation aside from the proclamation to Mr. Ripley. All right, I see some other counselors now. Counselor Donahue.
Yeah, Mark, I've been in Newington now 20 plus years, and I tell you, man, the coordination of the snow plowing. I live on the corner of Cedar and Maple Hill, and you guys are on top of it every year. And as Beth said, 33 years in one place, that's amazing. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Counselor Donahue. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yeah, I would also like to echo the fact that 33 years of service is an awfully long time. And his contributions of helping to maintain the appearance of our parks and our cemeteries. As Councilor Donahue indicated, our snowplow operations is second to none, I believe. Certainly in the region, if not in the state, we really excel at it. And I understand that he was very involved in the decorating of downtown for the holiday season, and it helps put all of residents into a holiday mood, a joyful mood each year. So he's worked hard and had a positive impact on quality of life here in Newington. So I want to thank him for that.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bedrejko. Any other counselors? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of the proclamation say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm just going to remind counselors, there's a few still on mute. So if you guys can unmute, I'm going to call the vote again just to make sure everybody participates. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Wonderful, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Mr. DeMeo, are you there? I didn't know if you wanted to speak up for Mr. Ripley or if you'd like to wait.
No, I can. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to wish Mark a healthy, long, happy retirement. Enjoy that pension. And I'm sure he'll enjoy his hunting and fishing and going up to Vermont. So thank you, Mark, for your years of service to the town.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, next up, we have our Building a Strong Community Award recipients. Mr. DeMeo, do you want to do a brief introduction as to how these award recipients are chosen, and then I can go into reading them?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Just the Parks and Recreation Department relies predominantly on civic clubs and volunteers and businesses to help seed some of the funding to start new programs or to enhance existing programs. And without these people, because we're on an enterprise budget, without these people that you're going to honor tonight, we couldn't have the seed money to hire bands and DJs and food trucks and clowns and stilt walkers and all the things that it takes to put on a special event. And these people have stepped up to the plate, put their faith in Parks and Recreation in the town of Newington, wanted to make Newington better. And we just totally appreciate their contributions, both financially and their volunteer work with us to make the programs that more special. With that, I'll let you read the proclamations.
Great, thank you. James, I just noticed that Councilor Page is in the attendees window. I don't know if you're able to pull him over.
No.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead with the first proclamation. Our first award recipient this evening is McBride Wayside Carpet Company. I do see former Mayor Tom McBride on with us this evening. Welcome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation in. And, you know, anyone that knows Mr. DeMeo knows he's never at a loss for words. So bear with me. These are a little bit long, but it means that you guys have done so much for us. So we'll go ahead and read these in. Whereas the Town Council, the Newington Parks and Recreation Board, and the Parks and Recreation Department has a tradition of annually honoring businesses, volunteers, and/or civic groups that help the department better serve our residents with a Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award. These recipients will be displayed on the Wall of Honor at the Mortonton Community Center in perpetuity. And whereas the department could not run over 800 programs without the generous donations used to start or enhance various programs and an abundant number of volunteers to provide many special events and programs. And whereas the board and department measure the benefits to the community in 4 major categories: benefits to the individual, benefits to the community, benefits to the environment, and benefits to the economy. And whereas the Parks and Recreation Department has named McBride Wayside Carpet Company for the Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award. And whereas McBride Wayside Carpet Company generously contributed $1,300 to the brand new St. Patrick's Day Party in the Park event at Mill Pond Park. And whereas McBride Wayside Carpet Company's involvement helped make St. Patrick's Day Party in the Park an incredible success with over 5,000 visitors. And whereas McBride Wayside Carpet Company's contribution helped to fund various aspects of the event, including live Celtic-inspired music, Irish step dancers, a foam party, a beer and wine garden, and an incredible VIP tent, where VIP partygoers enjoyed a corned beef and cabbage dinner, received their very own etched pint glass, took part in beer tastings with Guinness, and had access to the personalized pint machine that could infuse a picture from your cell phone onto the foam on top of your beer. And whereas the department is very thankful for the kind donation from McBride Wayside Carpet Company and hopes to continue this partnership in the future. Their financial contribution and personal in-kind support, as well as their overall generous nature, has positively affected our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby congratulates McBride Wayside Carpet Company on being named a 2021 Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award recipient and recognizes their generosity and support of the Newington Parks and Recreation Department.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Braverman. Discussion on this one. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yeah, COVID certainly impacted a lot of our longstanding holidays and traditions and celebrations. But despite COVID, there's certain traditions and holidays that just beg to be continued. And the McBride family certainly, their Irish pride stepped in and they stepped forward and they filled a gap by providing the funding for a very successful event and something that we hope will maybe be start of a new tradition in Newington. So we would not really want to thank the McBride family for this event and for all their past contributions to Newington.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Menke.
I would just echo what Deputy Mayor Draco said. I just would thank them for their participation in our events. Not just this one particular event, but in almost every event we do in town, they're participating, and I appreciate their efforts to make Newington so special. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Menke. Councilor Nagel.
I'd like to extend my appreciation for the McBride Carpet Company for doing this event as well as all the events that they've helped support over the years. It's wonderful to see local businesses being dedicated to the community and being there to provide items and to be purchased that our local community can support them in return for all the wonderful things that Mr. McBride and his company have done over the years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Nagel. I would like to personally thank McBride Carpet as well. I did have the pleasure of being in that VIP tent that evening, and my etched glasses are still in my cabinet, so I'm using those pretty regularly. It's a nice memory. I had the pleasure of talking with Mr. McBride that night too, who was there. So it really was a wonderful event, and we really do appreciate your support and generosity from the company to our community to help keep things going, especially during COVID, as Deputy Mayor Bedrejko mentioned. I'm going to go ahead and take the vote, and then we'll give Mr. McBride an opportunity to speak. All those in favor, please unmute. I'd just like to remind everyone. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Mayor, may I add one thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted, between the time we wrote this proclamation and tonight, McBride Carpet came forward with another generous donation and sponsored the Big Daddy's race cars at Night of Lights. So we were in a jam at the last minute, and they came forward again. So just shows the endless and the complete dedication to the town.
Thank you for letting us know that. And that really was wonderful. The kids enjoyed that tremendously that evening. It was a great night, all in all. Mayor McBride, would you like to have a word? Oh, you're still muted, Tom.
There you go.
How's about now?
Perfect.
Madam Mayor and members of council, thank you so much. It's great to be with you this evening. Let me first off start by saying that, my family is certainly dedicated to the town of Newington for many, many years. And we've had a tremendous partnership with the town. And we've always believed that, to have a good town and to have a good solid business in any community, there has to be a partnership. And we've certainly over the years had a great partnership with the town of Newington. And this is only a small way of us saying thank you, for the great community that Newington has been, especially for our business over the last 50 years. And my hope is that we will continue to be partners and make Newington the strongest community possible. So with that, let me just say thank you. And to Bill DeMayo, I remember reading these resolutions, Mayor, and I can tell you this one was a long one, and I wouldn't have been too happy with reading that one, but there's a lot of stuff in there that we could have probably shortened a little bit, but that's Bill DeMayo. He likes to really express himself. So let me give thanks to Bill for his kind words, and most certainly I wish you all a very happy holiday and a Merry Christmas. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor, and the same well wishes to you and your family.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll move on. Our next award recipient this evening is, and I'm going to ask Bill, is it Hinding or Hinding Sports? I want to make sure I say it correctly.
I go with Hinding, but he could correct it if he's Holly's on the line for representing
Yes.
Tom.
Hinding is correct. Thanks.
Hinding. All right, wonderful. I'd hate to read it a number of times incorrectly, so thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and read this in, and then we'll continue on. Whereas the Town Council, the Newington Parks and Recreation Board, and the Parks and Recreation Department has a tradition of annually honoring businesses, volunteers, and/or civic groups that help the department better serve our residents with a Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award. These recipients will be displayed on the Wall of Honor at the Mortensen Community Center in perpetuity. And whereas the department could not run over 800 programs without the generous donations used to start or enhance various programs, and an abundant number of volunteers to provide many special events and programs. And whereas the board and department measure the benefits to the community in 4 major categories: benefits to the individual, benefits to the community, benefits to the environment, and benefits to the economy. And whereas the Parks and Recreation Department has named Hinding Sports Builders for the Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award. And whereas Hinding Sports Builders kindly donated $5,000 to honor all of the veterans who put their country before themselves, and to assist the Newington Parks and Recreation Department in doing a patriotic display on a mobile trailer honoring both living and deceased veterans and persons currently serving on active duty. And whereas Hinding Sports Builders contributions helped to create a beautiful display, including flags, patriotic imagery, and the names of past and present veterans from Newington and surrounding areas. And whereas Hinding Sports Builders wanted to continue this beautiful demonstration of gratitude and donated an additional $5,000 to keep the mobile trailer up and running for another year, as well as some renovations to include brand new tributes to different veterans. And whereas the trailer wouldn't be nearly as touching or as well put together without the giving spirit of Hinding Sports Builders. Hinding Sports Builders truly emulate all of the characteristics of an organization dedicated to our community. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby congratulates Hinding Sports Builders on being named a 2021 Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award recipient, and recognizes their generosity and support of the Newington Parks and Recreation Department. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Mankey. Thank you. Any discussion on this one? Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yeah, I just think that this is a wonderful way for a business to participate in building a strong community by contributing something that celebrates and honors our veterans. This display was not only available just to Newington residents, but because it was mobile and was, in front of the firehouse, it was on the town green, it was various places in town. So others from outside of town who driving through saw how Newington respects and honors its veterans. And I'd like to thank Hinding not only for the initial contribution and their assistance in creating and building this trailer, but also your contribution of the additional funds to help maintain it for longer periods. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other council comment? I would just like to thank Hinding for supporting this tribute to our veterans. My husband, his name was up there and my father-in-law's name was up there. We sponsored that, and we appreciate you helping the town and partnering with us to be able to provide that for our veterans that choose to put their names up there. So I would really like to thank you personally from my family and for all of our veterans that were able to partake in that. All right, seeing no other comment, all those in favor, if councilors would unmute. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Wheeler, would you like to comment, or Mr. DeMayo? I'm not sure who wants to go first.
I'll just extend our sincere thanks to the Hinding company and family. Just unbelievable when they came through to get this up and running. Again, it gave us the seed money to put together a beautiful tribute.
Thank you. Ms. Wheeler, would you like to have a moment? I know looks like you're pretty busy right now.
No, thank you. Yes, on Mayor DeBono, this is Attorney Holly Wheeler, General Counsel for Hinding Sports Builders, and I'm honored to accept this award. Thrilled to be a part of the Newington community and support veterans in the mobile display honoring veterans, and any way that Hinding has been able to support the Newington community has been a real thrill for all of us. So thank you so much for this award to all the counselors as well.
Great, thank you, Attorney Wheeler. We appreciate you participating in our meeting. All right. We are going to continue on. We have two more recipients this evening. So the next one is the Flood Law Firm. All right. Whereas the Town Council, the Newington Parks and Recreation Board, and the Parks and Recreation Department has a tradition of annually honoring businesses, volunteers, and/or civic groups that help the department better serve our residents with a Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award. These recipients will be displayed on the Wall of Honor at the Mortenson Community Center in perpetuity. And whereas the department could not run over 800 programs without the generous donations used to start or enhance various programs, and an abundant number of volunteers to provide many special events and programs. And whereas the board and department measure the benefits to the community in 4 major categories: benefits to the individual, benefits to the community, benefits to the environment, and benefits to the economy. And whereas the Parks and Recreation Department has named the Flood Law Firm for the Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award. And whereas the Flood Law Firm generously donated $1,000 to a brand new event at Mill Pond Park, Food Truck Friday. And whereas the Flood Law Firm's financial contribution contributed to the success of Food Truck Friday, where there was a variety of food trucks for families to choose from. Plus, there was live music from the ever-energetic band Booyah, as well as a beer and wine garden for visitors to enjoy. And whereas the event was more successful than ever imagined, with over 5,000 people attending, and none of it would have been possible without our friends at the Flood Law Firm. And whereas the Flood Law Firm didn't stop there, they committed another $1,500 to sponsor the craft beer tasting during the Life Be In It extravaganza. And whereas the financial contribution from the Flood Law Firm was very generous and gave us the opportunity to create even more fun for the residents of Newington and everyone else who came to enjoy these spectacular events. This fund included train rides, the premier rock band Savage Brothers, snacks for the participants, and plenty of giveaways. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby congratulates the Flood Law Firm on being named a 2021 Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award recipient and recognizes their generosity and support of the Newington Parks and Recreation Department. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Braverman. And any council comments? Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yes, I just want to reiterate the thanks for the Flood Law Firm for contributing to these two events that certainly helped build a stronger community. Food Truck Friday was a new event and was eagerly awaited by many residents, and it was enjoyed by all of those in attendance. And it was a nice start to what I believe and hope will be an event that grows in the number of vendors and the numbers of attendees. And additionally, the sponsorship of the beer tasting event at the Extravaganza made Newington's premier event an even better event. So thank you, Flood Law, for your contributions.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Menke. Oh, you're on mute, Councilor Menke.
That's better. I'd also like to thank them for the contributions. I always appreciate it when other corporations like this come forward and help sponsor these events. It's well received and it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Councilor Menke. Any other council comment? All right, I'd like to add my personal thanks as well to the Flood Law Firm for your contributions in supporting our events. It's been really nice having you as a partner, and I know I enjoyed Food Truck Friday, and I'm hoping it continues next year. So hope maybe we can partner up some more next year and make sure that event continues. But I was very surprised, as mentioned in the proclamation, and how many people came out for that event. It was really a popular one. So thank you for helping us start that event, and hopefully we'll continue that annually, and it'll be even more successful. Mr. DeMeo, did you want to go ahead and comment?
Yeah, just want to thank Lauren Flood and the whole company, Brian, the attorneys, and just fabulous to work with, very cooperative, very flexible, and have helped us a great deal. And they also came forward for Night of Lights and sponsored the video trailer. So they just keep coming back, coming on, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, before I forget, we're going to go ahead and vote on this one. So if you can unmute your mics. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Ms. Flood, I'd like to give you an opportunity to speak if you'd like to.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to say thank you guys. We had a great whole year actually doing stuff with you guys. It's the first time we've ever done anything with the Newington Park and Rec, and honestly, Bill made it so easy and it was awesome, and we can't wait till next year. So thank you for honoring us. It's been great.
Great, thank you. Happy holidays to you and yours. All right, we have one more award recipient with us this evening. It's the Rotary Club of Newington. I know Mr. Tedeschi is on with us. So we will go ahead and get this one started. Whereas the Newington Town Council, the Newington Parks and Recreation Board, and the Parks and Recreation Department has a tradition of annually honoring businesses, volunteers, and/or civic groups that help the department better serve our residents with a Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award. These recipients will be displayed on the Wall of Honor at the Mortensen Community Center in perpetuity. And whereas the department could not run over 800 programs without the generous donations used to start or enhance various programs and an abundant number of volunteers to provide many special events and programs. Whereas the board and department measure the benefits to the community in 4 major categories: benefits to the individual, benefits to the community, benefits to the environment, and benefits to the economy. And whereas the Parks and Recreation Department has named the Rotary Club of Newington for the Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award. And whereas the Rotary Club of Newington pledged $14,000 over the course of a 3-year period to ensure the creation of the biggest pavilion Newington has ever had in Churchill Park. And whereas The Rotary Club of Newington's kind contribution has led to the new pavilion being used by over 15,000 picnickers and campers each year as they enjoy the pickleball courts, softball field, handicap accessible playground, basketball court, volleyball court, pool, and beautiful fishing pond in the park. And whereas the Rotary Club of Newington contributed to the construction of the Our Children's Place playground at Mill Pond Park, a much needed and beautiful update to a town favorite handicap accessible play area and park. And whereas the Rotary Club of Newington has left their mark on two of Newington's biggest regional parks, and their commitment to bettering our parks and community is admirable and deserving of recognition. Now therefore be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby congratulates the Rotary Club of Newington on being named a 2021 Building a Strong Community Special Recognition Award recipient and recognizes their generosity and support of the Newington Parks and Recreation Department.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. Further discussion? Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yes, I'd like to personally thank the Rotary Club for these exceptional contributions to our parks by the gazebo in Churchill Park, and the contributions to improving the playground at Mill Pond Park. Both of these contributions are durable and lasting structures which are used daily by residents and visitors and will continue to be used for many years to come. And these significant upgrades to our facilities and our parks make our parks more enjoyable and safer places for all of us to visit, to play, and to recreate. So thank you, Rotary, for contributing to the betterment of quality of life in Newington.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Menke.
Seem to be able to be following Deputy Bedrejko all night here. So she always says what I want to say, but I just want to thank you. This is a group of volunteers who go out of their way to volunteer for our town in these instances listed here, but on other ways. And I just appreciate their efforts. Volunteerism in Newington is what makes Newington special. And I would just commend them for their efforts.
Thank you, Councilor Menke. I would like to add my thanks as well to the Rotary Club of Newington. As was mentioned, this group of volunteers seems to just jump in at every event. It's just endless how many times I hear the Rotary Club mentioned in town for so many of our events. And the Parks and Recreation slice of it it's huge when you look at this proclamation, but yet in the big scheme of things, it's a tiny slice of what the Rotary Club does for our community as a whole. And we're very appreciative for the partnership with the Rotary Club and our town. So thank you for that. Before I go on, I'm going to go ahead and take a vote. I don't see any other hands up. So if you would unmute, councilors. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And I would like to offer Mr. DeMeo. Would you like to add anything?
Sure. The current president is Dave Johnson, my neighbor, and I think he's sick tonight, but can't say enough good about him, and especially Dave Tedeschi. We've been friends for probably over 50 years, and Dave is just the salt of the earth, greatest guy in the world. In the Rotary Club, my hat's off to all of you. You're fabulous. And they have their meetings up at the Rotary Pavilion, and it's wonderful, and it's great to see everybody using it every day.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mr. Tedeschi, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor. And I come from the same line of Bill DeMeo, but I promise I'll only take about 90 seconds to say something. But, you know, certainly it's an honor for me to be here with you, be it via Zoom, as everything seems to be lately, to represent Newington Rotary, as we are recognized for doing what comes natural to 1.4 million Rotarians all over the world, and that is doing service to change lives. And we're so fortunate to have had the opportunity on many occasions to partner with our town's Parks and Rec director and the staff to do basically what the department stands for, and that's building a strong community. Bill DeMeo and his staff have been very successful in meeting that motto of building a strong community. They've done it with creative and innovative ideas, but more importantly, by involving input from businesses and organizations like Newington Rotary. This recognition tonight for our Rotary Club members, both past and present, is the affirmation that we are doing what we should be doing. It is truly appreciated and encourages us to take a step forward to form an even closer bond with not only our Parks and Rec friends and other departments in the town, but with anyone who wants to join our team to get things done. I thank you, and on behalf of all my members, we wish you a great blessings during the holiday and a terrific 2022. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tedeschi, and really best wishes to you and your family as well during this holiday season. All right, folks, that concludes our section of our agenda for awards and proclamations. So we will continue on. The next item on our agenda this evening is public participation. Let me just switch on over to that window. Hold on one second. All right. The first person that I see on our caller ID is Diane Carney. If you could please state your name and address for the record. And if you are tuning in on Zoom in the app, you can go ahead and raise your hand in the participants window. And if you're on your phone, it is *9 that would raise your hand for us. Go ahead, Ms. Carney.
Diane Carney, 25 DaCosta Drive. I've been reading different comments, articles about who is responsible for mask mandates and closing of town buildings. Just wanted some clarification. Is it Charles Brown from the health department, the town manager, or someone else? It's really a lot of disinformation out there, and it would be very helpful, I think, to have it explained by you or someone on the council or the town manager, just what the process is to clear this up. Also, I was wondering, why does the library have different rules from the town as far as mask mandates and when it's open or not? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carney. We will address comments after everyone has had a chance. All right, the next speaker this evening is Rose Lyons.
Hi, it's Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive, and I'd like to piggyback on what Diane Carney just asked, and just that there's been a lot of discussion about misinformation on social media. I watched the Talk to the Mayor show the other night, and both the mayor and the town manager found it very easy to get onto the town website and find the information that they posted with the latest update. I can't say that I don't agree sometimes that there's misinformation on Facebook or social media, but I think the town should take some responsibility for the lack of consistency of information on the town website. I went in and I looked, and 3 out of the 4 places where it refers to COVID-19, it had the information that was posted from Friday night, not Monday morning. So I think that's something that should be looked at. Another post was on Facebook just recently regarding someone had looked at the town manager's report for May of 2021, and it was noted that the economic development team had met with the developer to discuss opportunities for Cedar Mountain. Well, that post was questioning, does anyone know what property? And it was on the Save Cedar Mountain site. My question is, what property on Cedar Mountain was it referring to? Is it the Frisbee property? And is it the third plan now that we can assume is not going forward, so new developers are looking at the property? I'd also like to know, if it's not that property, if somebody can give us the status on the Tilcon property or state property, if there's anything going on there. I find the town manager's report very informative. However, the last report that I see on the website is June, and that was posted or dated December 2nd, 2021. There's nothing from July forward. If those reports are available but just aren't on the website, I'd like to know if I can call the town manager's office and get them. Last question is, I noticed that there's in the facilities review that there's a suggestion that some town sites be looked at, town properties, and they either be sold, donated, repurposed, or demolished. I'm hoping that if they are sold or donated, that it will be like the National Welding Site, that it will come before the town council, and that there will be a public hearing on it. I just would like confirmation of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. Next is Representative Gary Turco. Welcome, Representative.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, councilors. Good to see you tonight. Just a couple of things that I want to mention. One, today on the governor released his bond agenda for December, last one of the year, and it does include $800,000 for Newington. This was a request that we put in early 2020, and this is for streetscape safety improvements for economic development purposes, to assist businesses as well as pedestrians, bicyclers, and things like that. So I'm excited that this project is on the Bond Commission agenda and it will be voted on. It should pass next week without any issues, and then Newington will be able to do that project. Probably not something you'll do till the spring, but it will be available. Originally, the project was earmarked for Stoddard and Maine business development area. The language has been left a little broad, so there's a possibility if you complete that project, you can use money for other purposes. And then the other issue I wanted to touch on quickly, I know I have limited time, but on the juvenile crime issues. This is something I continuously am working on. Today had a meeting, and I met this week with both Republicans and Democrats. But today we had a meeting where we have finalized an agreement between both parties on several changes that are going to be done through the judicial and executive branch that do not need legislation. Of course, we could have gone into a special session and passed them, but we're able to do them without going through that whole process, like GPS systems, increasing and improving arraignment, making sure that the services and rehabilitation programs are working better, residential programs for those who do need detainment. So there are a lot of improvements that are being made. But I heard one of the counselors mention a couple weeks ago that there was no point in arresting individuals because there's no accountability. And I assure you there is accountability. Not all the time is accountability punitive. For serious cases, yes, juveniles can be sent to adult court and can be given very serious penalties. For others, first, second time offender, a rehabilitation program is used. And it has been shown to actually reduce recidivism and prevent future crimes. So that might not look like accountability to some people if you're not behind bars. To others, especially the youth, the programs they go through are rigorous and do provide counseling and rehabilitation. A lot of those were shut down from COVID, and they are open now, and they're working well. But the arrest rate for the crimes is so low. We're at about a 5% arrest rate. So if we're barely arresting individuals when they commit a crime, it's very difficult to put them through a rehabilitation program and then to help get them on a better track. So we're meeting later this week, Mayor, with the police chief and with other legislators to find out what we can do to help Newington law enforcement. I know there's $35,000 from the Office of Policy Management from the state of Connecticut to help with overtime costs. That is coming to Newington. We're working to make more available. There's also a regional task force of all the towns working together to solve these different crimes, and they're having great success. I'm hoping Newington can participate in the future. I don't think we're currently, but we're going to try to put more money to extend that as well. So I'm here to help. I inherited the system that we have. Some of it works, some of it needs to be improved, but I want to work with all of you to make it work better. So thank you for your time, Mayor and councilors, and thank you for all the work that you all are doing to help improve our town, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Representative Turco. All right. The next speaker is listed as Gail Campbell.
Hi, I'm Gail Campbell from 26 Johnson Street. And I was wondering if you could help me with some bicycle safety concerns. Some of you have certainly seen me biking around town. Perhaps you yourself bike around town too. That would be great. As an avid cyclist, I clocked in 242 miles in August alone. I've noticed two important events. One is many more cyclists on the road, and two, Newington roads need an upgrade when it comes to the notion of share the road. I myself wear a bicycle helmet, safety vest. I use lights when it's dawn, dusk, dark, and I stay on the shoulder. Wait, the shoulder. Many of our roads lack adequate shoulders or have no markings for bike safety. Many automobile drivers lack proper distance to cyclists, and I have read about several recent tragedies involving cyclists, and I know we can do better as a community. For example, when Willard Avenue was repaved directly in front of the high school in the northbound lane, there is absolutely no shoulder. A cyclist must ride in the traffic. Cars and trucks are not prepared or willing to share the road, and the curb or grassy median is too steep to quickly jump it when a car comes speeding up, allowing for no space. I believe the law is 3 feet allowance for cyclists, so without any signage or painted bicycles on the road, it's quite difficult to manage. The major thoroughfares in Newington, like Main Street, Willard Ave, New Britain Ave, Church Street, Robbins Ave, Maple Ave, etc., would be safer for cyclists if the signage and paint were added. So Cedar Street's a whole different safety issue, but those other main thoroughfares are my main concern. Also, adding shoulders to the roads would be a welcome safe addition. If you drive down Fenn Road at the intersection of West Hill and West Hartford Road, the signage and road paint there, which is technically Newington, much clearer for all. I know Beth By in West Hartford worked hard to get her town to be a safer place several years ago and continues to push that to be happening in West Hartford. I work in West Hartford, so I have the benefit of seeing that. When I bike in West Hartford, it is evident that there are more opportunities for safety, and also in Weathersfield and Rocky Hill. I wonder about the funding already in place that could be directly allocated and put to great use in partnership with planning and zoning. Perhaps the bond commission agenda, that $800,000 could be used for this that Gary Turco just spoke of. I also have ideas to link our bike lanes, listen to this, to the town hall, our great parks, the schools, the bus depots, the town center. This would be a green way to get around town, as well as encourage Newington citizens of all ages to get around town safely, smartly, and efficiently. I think we can do better in Newington. Biking is great exercise, it's great for the environment, and it's great for our community. Let's keep making Newington a safer, more special place to live and bike. I keep hearing Tim say that, and I feel like I agree with him. And he's one of the people I keep seeing when I'm biking. So let's do this. What do you think?
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Okay. I do not see any other hands up right now, so we will continue on. Did anyone receive any email correspondence that I'm not aware of?
No, there has been none.
Okay, thank you. Next item is remarks by counselors on public participation. Any counselors that would like to speak? Counselor Menke.
Yeah, I just would agree that I'm not a biker. I will be upfront. I do have a bike, but I don't use it. But I do think it's looking at bikeways so our citizens can get from place to place without getting smushed by a truck, I think is important. And I would think we should continue those efforts whenever we look at doing a road, whether and I know some of those roads mentioned are state roads, which may be more difficult to make those changes, but I think it's something we should keep in mind whenever we make changes to a road. I also would just comment on Representative Turco. I'm glad that now juvenile crime has become a priority. I think it's way past due. I guess I'll wait to see what the results are, but I think it's important that he talked to the police chiefs in his district and see what their needs are. But I do appreciate his efforts. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor Menke. Councilor Page.
First of all, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, James, for getting me in the right Zoom link. I went into the general link, and so thank you very much for that. And because of that, I I missed an opportunity to thank all the folks who have contributed to our town. And I wanted to say, especially to Mark Ripley, I went to school with Mark. I know Mark is a great guy, and I appreciate all of his service to the town. And as far as public speakers, I thank Gail Campbell for speaking about cycling. I agree we could do more. And I know some has been done. There were some monies, I believe, if I go over the record, for biking, bike racks and other things in the parks. And I think some has been done in that way. But with all that we're doing to get out and enjoy our parks and our beautiful town, I think biking is a great way to do that. And I'd like to see us do more. I want to thank Representative Turco for all he's doing and continues to do. I think that I appreciate his comments about how we can address crime with our youth, not just by putting them behind bars, but also by giving them opportunities to have a better trajectory in life. And I think that's all I'll say right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Page. Councilor Rada.
Yes, first, I want to thank Representative Turco for all the work that he has been doing and that he continues to do, bring monies into the community to improve what we have, to serve our residents, to serve our businesses. Congratulations on that. And also the work that I know has been ongoing to focus not only on juvenile crime, but crime in general, which we are seeing certainly an uptick in, and that people have been talking about. And one of the things that I have seen in the papers is I think it's the Greater Hartford or Regional Auto Theft Task Force. I know that Rocky Hill is a member of that, and I would like to see how, and I'm sure this is connected with Chief Clark, and there'll be more conversation about this, but if Newington can also be a participant in that task force, I think that would serve us well. The second thing I wanted to do was to thank Gail Campbell for her participation tonight. Excuse me, I haven't biked recently, but have been a cyclist, and I know that there are others on the council who are interested as well. I think we may hear about part of a plan from Gary Furstenberg regarding bike paths and bike safety and connectors, so that we can make Newington a more bike safe and bike friendly community. I remember as a kid traveling all over town on my bicycle, and that was at a time where it was the old Schwinn and there were no gears. But I'm very excited about that and interested, and thank her for her participation and her interest to help move this along. Again, another improvement and something that will benefit our community.
Thank you, Councilor Rada. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yes, I want to just echo the need, definite need for improving bike safety and accessibility in our town. I am a biker, and unfortunately, over the past, several years, it's just gotten more and more dangerous. And it's unfortunate because we, as part of the busway, a nice, 4-mile route was built from Newington Junction to New Britain and then 4 miles back again. But quite frankly, there's no safe way to get there. So we have a nice trail accessible to our residents, but trying to get there going on Willard Avenue, certainly not Cedar Street, is just you're taking your life in your hands. So I know Gary Furstenberg has been, working on this. I know our town planner, has, also is looking into some possibilities. And the fact is also we have a destination spot here in Newington, the Trek Bicycle Store. So we could be utilizing them as a partner in some of this as well. And I'm glad to see that the town will be taking this seriously and look forward to working on any initiatives. Regarding the comments from Representative Turco on juvenile justice, those are some welcome suggestions that I know have been, were actually proposed in the past. So I'm glad that the bipartisan group now is working to implement these, or at least talking about them. But unfortunately, as Councilor Rada has said, is what started out as everybody was looking at juvenile justice has, I think, gone beyond juveniles crime. Crime is increasing, and particularly in our town, by virtue of our location, being on the having the Berlin Turnpike run through our town, crime is becoming increasingly, violent crime is becoming increasingly an issue in terms of, you can be sitting in your Wendy's parking lot and get the victim of random gunfire. So the initiatives on juvenile crime are welcome, and we thank you for your efforts, Representative Turco. And we hope that maybe we can start even a broader discussion on getting the town of Newington some assistance to work on the problems that basically are drive-through problems, but by virtue of our location and having the turnpike running through town, we're kind of at the mercy of some of these more violent crimes, and hopefully that we can get some state and regional assistance and not put it all on the backs of Newington Police Department in our budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Nagel?
I would just like to add what the previous councilors have said, particularly what Deputy Mayor Bedrejko just said, that our state roads create more of a problem, which I know Mr. Turco can help us with, where we are not able to do certain things. Most recently, people walking on the Berlin Turnpike trying to cross where there is no cross thing, and even today, a woman pushing a baby carriage with a child supposedly in it on the turnpike itself. Perhaps he can do something, meeting with the police chiefs and statewide, to help to eliminate these dangerous situations that affect all of us. And it is tragic when anyone is hit on the turnpike while they're walking there where they shouldn't be. But to see children in these dangerous locations where they don't have the choice as to whether to be there or not, on top of everything else, is really devastating. So just want to add that to what has already been said, and hopefully we can do something to resolve these problems, especially where Mr. Turco has more influence than we on the council do in terms of the state trying to affect some changes involving the turnpike and other state roads that we aren't able to, be it individuals walking, baby carriages, let alone safety for cyclists, which has been brought up previously. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Nagel. All right, I just will add a few comments quickly because I know we have a very lengthy agenda this evening. Ms. Carney, who asked about the responsibility for masks and closings, ultimately that responsibility does lie with the town manager who makes those decisions, but he makes those decisions not in a bubble, but in conjunction with Charles Brown, who advises us from the Central Connecticut Health District, as well as our Emergency Management Director, Megan Menke, and as well as with advice from those agencies that surround us, not just CCHD, but the CDC. All of that information is taken into account. And as things change, as this COVID pandemic continues, those decisions will morph just like they are in every other setting in our community and around the state and around the nation. So I know a lot more detail will be given later on in the agenda. Actually, our next item after this is our health update. So there may be some more information there, but I just wanted to mention those. Ms. Lyons, I don't have a lot of answers to your questions, so hopefully the town manager can help with some of those if you give him a call at the office in terms of which properties and the town manager report. Hopefully you can get that information from the town manager's office. Representative Turco, I just wanted to thank you for your efforts. We are very appreciative of the funding that was secured through the state, as well as your efforts to help us with the juvenile crime issues. But I just wanted to mention that I think there is a two-prong effort that needs to happen here. And I know that you had invited myself and the town manager and our chief into a discussion that when that discussion does happen, the information will be brought back to the council as a whole. I know we are trying bipartisanly to work on these issues together to try and help our community. The crime right now, and it's not just juvenile crime for sure. It really is a broad issue, both adult and juvenile crime that is affecting our community these days. And we hear it each and every day from our residents, the issues around town. And so I'm grateful that we are working together to try and work on strategies to mitigate these issues. But there is another issue to be concerned with that people have forgotten about, and that is the police accountability law that, in my estimation, while it does have value, did limit our ability to retain and acquire new police officers. There are many police officers out there that have responded very negatively to the passing of that bill, and it's making staffing an issue, not just in our community, but all over Connecticut. So that may be another area that we need to look at and concern ourselves with in the retention and recruitment of officers. And there may be help to be had at the state level. I'm not sure, but that may be yet another area that we can collaborate on moving forward. And then Ms. Campbell, I wanted to thank you for your comments on your concerns with the biking paths. I know we do have some plans in place, some funding for a couple of projects in town, and that will be discussed in more detail later in the agenda when Mr. Furstenberg speaks later on under the presentations under new business. So I just wanted to let you know to stay tuned if you're interested in that, or it will be available for replay later on. Okay, that concludes our public participation and remarks by counselors. We'll continue on to consideration of old business. The first item is our health update regarding COVID-19. Mr. Chapman.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I do want to concur with you that the decisions on how we handle COVID in Newington rest with the public safety director, which is part of my role as a town manager. Certainly, I use the input from the health director and his staff, as well as my own staff, to determine what is in the best interest of the community overall. And let me give you an example. We've been one of the few towns in the district that have been, we'll say, more conservative on our approach with keeping our distances, wearing our masks, and keeping buildings somewhat inaccessible, but always available for services when anyone needed it. But case in point is I just made a decision over the weekend that we will open up for basketball in our community center for the players to be masked as they're playing and for spectators to be allowed in as long as they're social distancing and wearing masks. Now, that comes with a risk that I'm not comfortable with, but we've talked, the staff and I have talked, and we're basically shifting the responsibility to the parents and the adults. Just as the president shifted this whole issue to the states, and the state decided that would shift it to the towns. Well, now we're going to shift it to the adults and the parents. So case in point is we will have basketball played in the community center. We will have spectators. My concern is this, and maybe I over exaggerate and maybe I'm out of line or antiquated as I was accused of being. But, everyone that is, we'll say, over the age of 5 now has had the opportunity to be vaccinated. That has not been the case up until this point. The 12 and under were the last. But even though all those people can be vaccinated, we know that a number of them are not. And then we had the whole issue with the kids that are under 5 and under. They don't have a choice. They can't get a vaccination. So my concern is, I'll put it in simple terms. Let's just say we have a basketball game, and let's just say that everybody has a good time, and let's just say one of the kids that plays or one of the spectators is with COVID and spreads that virus to others within the gymnasium. Good, okay, everybody's been vaccinated except the 5 and under. So when everybody goes home and there's a 3-year-old that has not been vaccinated because there's no vaccination available at this point, that's my concern. Those are the people that don't have control of their future. Everyone above the age of 6 now with parental approval can be vaccinated, but it weighs heavily on me as the public safety director and town manager that there are a group of people that can't be vaccinated at this time, yet they are exposed to whoever enters their house. And if something bad happens, God forbid it does or doesn't, but I can guarantee you that those family members for a 3 or 4-year-old are not going to be happy campers and not going to continue to support opening up everything and disregarding any safety concerns. This is a major issue and it's changing every day. And you know, our consistency, we've never dealt with COVID-19 as adults in our lifetime. The state and the federal government has chosen to put that power into the town managers of every town in the state. And I'll be honest with you, that's not something I trained to do. We are learning as we're going. And the fact of the matter is that, yes, we seem to be inconsistent, but I don't think that COVID-19 has been very consistent from the beginning. There are new pieces of information coming out daily. As you can see on the letter from Charles Brown, which I didn't request, that was requested by Councilor Mitch Page. It was sent to me to pass along to all of you that the district, health district, supports what we've been doing in town. And I apologize that people are upset with inconsistency in information, but this is a dynamic changing event. And as far as what goes on in the senior center versus what goes on in the library versus what goes on in the town hall, there are many factors that get involved in that discussion. The department heads and I, along with the director of health, have met and discussed these issues. We continue to discuss them, and we continue to try to make accommodations for as many people as we can. But I'm really concerned. I just watched the national news tonight. We are in a mess, folks, much worse than we were a year ago at this time. And it seems like it's okay now. It's not okay. People are dying. People are getting sick. And we can't just ignore it. So if anybody's upset with our quote inconsistencies, I apologize for that. But the safety of our residents and particularly our children come first in my mind. As far as the monthly, excuse me, that's on a different issue, but I'll bring that up later. But anyway, the Megan is with us tonight, our emergency management director, and she indicated she wanted to speak on a couple of comments that were made. So Megan, I'll turn it over to you at this point.
Thanks, Keith. I just want to echo everything that he just said. It's not an easy task to be tasked with. It's not an easy situation, and it changes every day. I know that it's changing probably less for the public than it is for us in terms of regulations and guidance. I will address right off the bat. I was out sick last week, the end of last week, and in my absence, we changed, of course, from orange to red. I was unable to, get the information posted or the alert out, and no fault at all of the staff that was just trying to get information out, they did post information from our old plan. That being said, our new plan just went into effect maybe 2 days prior to that, less than a week. So it was an honest mistake. It certainly wasn't intentional. It was updated and addressed as soon as it was put out there. Social media has a mind of its own. I couldn't even read most of it. But that being said, we have the plan did include the word closed. We do have town buildings that are closed. Plan applies to all town buildings, vehicles even. So not, if you read further down, that it addressed town hall specifically, which clearly states that necessary business is, we are available for that. At the same time, we had the person that was staffing the desk to check people in and out, ended up being out the same exact week. So it was just a slew of bad luck, I guess, and honest mistakes, and the public perception of that. Obviously, perception is reality, and it just kind of took on a mind of its own. The plan has been updated and removed the word closed because that seems to be the talking point. And I will say that the plan was written by all of the department heads. So what the library can provide in terms of staffing and protection for their patrons and their employees might be different than what the senior center can provide, or what Parks and Recreation can provide. They also service different populations. So the inconsistency from building to building isn't necessarily, like Keith mentioned, there's a lot more factors that go into it. And the inconsistency of information that was, initially put out, I'll own 100%. We did, try to resolve it as soon as, it was realized. But this is the other big piece of this, is that not only is this plan designed to protect the public, it is designed to protect our employees. We might not have, the 1 or 2 positive cases in town hall could result in a ripple effect, and has resulted in a ripple effect that creates people being sick, people being out, people being quarantined. And then we won't have to worry about people coming into town hall because there's going to be nothing. There's going to be nothing for them to access. So it's very difficult to make these decisions and to, try to please everyone. But my job isn't to please everyone, and neither is, Charles's job. Our job is to keep as many people safe as possible. And that is the only intent of the plan. So I'll get off my soapbox now.
Let me just add to that as of last, I believe it was last Thursday, there were 5 employees that have COVID. There are 11 employees that have been exposed, that were quarantined. This is not something that you can just take lightly, folks. It is very serious. And again, let's think about those that can't be vaccinated, and we must make sure that they're protected. And if anybody disagrees with that, then I don't know what to tell you. But we're doing the best we can, and we're going to continue to operate exactly the way we've been operating. And if other towns want to open up, I tell you, I came up from Waterford, which is where I live, which seems to be a big issue. But in any event, I went to Salem, I went to Colchester, I went to Marlborough, and I went to Glastonbury, the 4 towns that I passed on Route 85 and 2 coming up to work. I stopped at each one of their town halls, and guess what? Every town hall had a different protocol. Every one of them, all 4. I then got up into this area and went to several towns in this area. And once again, everybody has a different protocol. This is where I question the sense of why the state of Connecticut would not be handling these types of decisions. Just crossing the town line does not change the exposure, the risk, the chance of getting COVID. People work across town lines, they shop across town lines. Why this is not being handled at the state level is beyond me. And to put it onto each town individually, yes, we're going to have people compare us to other towns. Well, you know what? We're doing what's right in our mind, and we're going to continue doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Megan. I see Councilor Menke, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wondered if you could, if Keith, you could report what the rate is currently, or as of last Thursday, or Megan can.
So our numbers, they get posted every Thursday. Our week one numbers, I believe, were, I'm gonna have to look at it so I don't misspeak. 45, around 45.
And what were they doing for, Megan?
And then the week after that was 141. So our numbers more than doubled within that 2-week period. And I do expect our numbers for this that are going to be posted this Thursday, which are based on last week, to be at least around the same as that. But that's statewide. I will say that just hovering over the few towns, the ones I looked at, we had the highest number of positive cases. That's, I think, a result of, Thanksgiving and, everything that goes on and all the celebrations there. I don't expect us to dip below the red level for a little bit, especially with more holidays coming up. Statewide, it was over 8% positivity rate today. We went from 2 weeks ago, I get a daily, the daily update from the governor. 2 weeks ago, we were in the, hundreds of positive cases, each from one day to the next, and we are in the thousands now. So it is a significant jump in, and I'll just echo, again, what Keith said. We are in a worse spot than we were last year, but people are, I'm tired. Trust me, there's no one that's more tired of this probably than me. But people are sick of it and people are tired of it. And, but you can't get complacent. You can't let your guard down. Thank you. Yeah. So 40 cases, there are 49 cases and then 141. So our rate is, as you can see there, 45.2, and that's incredibly high. That's the highest that I remember seeing it. Again, this whole thing has been ever changing, but we are not in a good place. So trying to make decisions to keep everyone safe and to to continue offering services. I think that's the biggest thing too. We wipe out the town clerk's office. I'm sorry, James. We wipe out, the assessor's office or the tax office. We don't function. So we wipe out the police department, the fire department. Like this is a big deal. So bear with us.
We're not like an NFL team that has like a second, third, and fourth string.
Right. There's no other James. There's no more.
Each of our departments has just a few people in it. So if COVID were to hit one of our departments, just one person, it could wipe out an entire department and eliminate our ability to do the necessary business of our town. And so that's why we're being overly cautious, especially in our town hall with requiring masks and making sure the protocols are followed. We want to make sure not only the residents are protected, but the residents' ability to conduct the business that they need to conduct through our town is protected by protecting our staff as well. Councilor Page?
First of all, I want to say thank you to Megan Mankey. I think you have an impossible job, and I don't think you should have to apologize. These, as you and others have pointed out, these are very, very serious concerns. People have died. People are very sick, and this is an impossible task. And from what I can see, you're doing an excellent job. So thank you for everything you're doing. I just have one question right now for Mr. Chapman, which is because I thank you for your correspondence over the weekend about the orange status of the gym. I don't know what the family pods are. Is that a separated, like, little plastic wall for each family to be safe? I just wasn't sure what that was.
No, what it is you basically want to stay just with your family. And if you're going to be on bleachers, try to stay at least 6 feet away from other families. I mean, you know, again, I don't quite understand why there's so much difficulty in understanding safety here. I mean, it's like we're going through a kindergarten class here. You should take safety as a priority for you and your families. You don't want people climbing over each other in a gymnasium. And, you know, we're not having any type of a tracing program where we don't know who's bringing what into what and who's getting sick. Common sense should prevail. So if you're in the gymnasium, your family is your pod. You should stay together. You should not be branching out. You should not be encouraging other people to join you. Keep your social distancing. Wear your masks. That's all we're asking. Nothing is impossible for people to do if they want to stay safe. But if people don't do the basics, then they're exposing other people to danger unnecessarily. And this was the concern that I had when we allowed the spectators in and we allowed the basketball to be played, because as just pointed out, we're in the worst numbers right now than we've been from day one with COVID. But the public seems to now accept people dying, people getting sick. A year ago, that was not acceptable. So just everybody has to keep in mind that you may not care whether you get sick and die, but the people around you may care. You may not want to get vaccinated, but that doesn't mean that other people want to be around you if you're not vaccinated. So keep your distance, keep your mask on, and do what's right. That's all. Hope that answers your question.
The pods are basically cohorts. All right, Deputy Mayor Pacheco. You're muted, Gail.
Okay, yeah, no, I do agree, and I'm appreciative, I think, and despite the fact of what some people may feel are unduly harsh restrictions, I think town services are, I don't think anybody's being denied essential services or services they need. Might have to make a reservation or, put a mask on or fill out a form, but the services are getting done. So we appreciate the efforts that way. But I do have a question for the numbers for our town. I'm just curious whether because we do have, I think, about 5 or 6 community living or communal living organizations in terms of some of the long-term care facilities in town. Plus we have several group homes in town. Is there a way that you could tell of those 140 or of the confirmed cases, how many of those are living in communal residences versus those not in communal residences?
So the last time I looked into this, and again, I'm saying that because things change. The last time I looked into this, which was a few months ago, those numbers are not included in the town's numbers. It's based on where you live, your residence. So places like Rapid Recovery, places like Bel Air, where it's a temporary situation and they have residents somewhere else, they would be counted in their town's numbers.
We do have some long-term care. I mean, we do have people living permanently in something like Jefferson House or
right. As far as the last time they weren't included, but I will look into that and get back to you to make sure. I would be
curious, as well as some of the group homes in our town as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilor Menke.
Yeah, just quick. I think I've over the weekend I was watching one of my favorite movies, 1776, and there's a line that I think it pertains here. I'm a great Monday morning quarterback. I can tell you how you should have played the game and what you should have done. But I don't get to make those decisions, thank God, because the line is that decisions are always clear when somebody else has to make them. And I think I would like to commend our people who make those decisions. Number one, to keep our citizens safe, and number two, to keep our employees safe. Those decisions aren't easy. I guess I'm understanding that as time goes on, those are major decisions, and the ramifications are major. So I would just commend them for on our behalf, working so hard to keep Wallace safe. And I was like everybody else, I was hoping this thing would be done with by now, and it appears like this is going to be the new normal. It'll just continue with this variant, another variant, and we'll just be in this quagmire forever, it seems like. But I do appreciate everyone's efforts for keeping us all safe.
Thank you, Councilor Magee. Councilor Rada?
Yeah, just first of all, I'm sure that both of you feel like your jobs are thankless sometimes, but we do want to thank you for the work you're doing. I work in healthcare. I was working in trying to schedule appointments at the beginning of this year to get people into vaccination clinics. I'm seeing it daily where people are struggling to either get vaccinated, to get boosted, to gather information. It's a moving target. The virus mutates, and we've seen it now. We're in our third iteration that at least we know of currently. These are difficult decisions that have to be made. And what I'm also seeing are, and I think most of us have experienced it with folks who are not only vaccinated, but have received the booster and have then become infected and tested positive, which you may be symptomatic or you may be asymptomatic, which makes it even more difficult because then there's no knowledge of whether or not it's being spread and who's to isolate and who's to quarantine. So we're living in a period where this is very difficult, rates are increasing, and I think what I was hearing over the past week was a question of consistency of messages. We understand that now. I think that has been clarified. And Megan, I want to thank you for taking that on your shoulders, and continue to appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Councilor Rada. I don't see any other hands up. I just wanted to thank both Keith and Megan for your efforts. I know I've said it to you before, so hopefully you both know how much I appreciate you and the amount of work you've put into everything regarding this pandemic, not just now, but all along. So it's been a long haul, and it's not even close to over yet, but I appreciate both of you very much. I just want to reiterate to everyone out there, if you have questions as a member of our public, come to one of us, ask us. Our emails, our phone numbers, all of our personal information is on the town website. So if you don't love the website, the one thing that is easy to do is to click on Government and Town Council and find us. So if you have questions, please reach out either to one of us or to the town manager's office, or someone at town hall, because that's where you're going to get the most accurate information. And I'm not suggesting that anyone put any information anywhere that intentionally, but there are mixed messages that happened, and there are reasons why that were explained. But if you feel like you can't get an answer or you're not sure, go to the source. That would always be my recommendation. Go to the source, and we will help you as best we can. Okay. Thank you for the update. We're going to continue on with our agenda. The next item is the 150th Anniversary Steering Committee report. James, I believe you have some information for us. Ms. Francolino wasn't able to be here tonight.
That is correct. She's got a family issue going on. She just wanted to update the council on the 150th participation in the Night of Light celebration. At that meeting, there we go. That's what I live on. At that event, they were selling our 150th anniversary hand-blown glass ornaments, and those are still available at Karma's Closet. So if anybody does want to get them, notice the mayor got hers as well. Please, supplies are limited, so I believe we ordered 100 of those. And other than that, she just wanted to wish everybody a happy and safe holiday season.
Great, thank you. If anybody has any questions, we can always, contact her directly and get some answers. You can let either myself or James know, and one of us can get any questions that you might have. Thank you for the update, James.
You're quite welcome.
Ms. Francolino, if you're watching or if you hear this later, we wish you the best and happy holiday season as well. All right, next item is our Emergency Management Performance Grant, the EMPG. I'm just trying to flip my pages to catch up here as well. So this is under old business. We've reviewed this at a previous meeting. And we have before us a resolution for consideration. So before we begin discussion, I would ask that someone offer to read that resolution in for us. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko, thank you.
Authorizing resolution of the Newington Town Council. Resolved that the Town of Newington Town Council may enter into with and deliver to the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, any and all documents which it deems to be necessary or appropriate, and be it further resolved that Keith Chapman, as Town Manager of the Town of Newington, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the Town of Newington Town Council, and to do and perform all acts and things which he deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents. Be it further certified that Keith Chapman now holds the office of Town Manager, and that he has held that office since January 10th, 2020.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. All right, any discussion on this? I know we discussed it last time, but are there any further questions regarding this item? This is a pretty routine matter that we take care of to try and secure funding for the emergency management piece. I don't see any hands up, so if you would unmute your microphones, councilors. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, next item is the 2021 Homeland Security Grant Program. Again, it's the memorandum of agreement that the agreement is proposed to use federal Homeland Security grant funds to support 8 regional set-aside projects. The total amount of funds being retained on behalf of local governments, that's plural, is $1,725,204. There are a number of projects listed in the memo that would be part of that. And Megan is here if we do have questions regarding this. This is another one that it's under old business. We discussed this at our last meeting. And who would like to go ahead and read it? Councilor Donahue.
Resolved that the Town of Newington Town Council may enter into with and deliver to the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, any and all documents which it deems be necessary or appropriate. And be it further resolved that Keith Chapman, as Town Manager of the Town of Newington, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the Town of Newington, and to do and perform all acts and such things deemed necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents, including but not limited to executing and delivering all agreements and documents contemplated by such documents. Be it further certified that Keith Chapman now holds the office of Town Manager, and that he has held that office since January 10th, 2020.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. Any discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I'm sorry, I'm just checking. I don't see Counselor Camillo on the screen. I'm not sure. James, do you know that he's?
I did not hear him drop off, but yeah, I'm not showing him on the screen. So it's 8-0, Counselor Camillo absent.
Correct. And I believe that was the same for the last vote. I did not see him on the screen for the last vote either.
Yeah.
Okay, so it did pass unanimously, but it was only 8 unanimous votes that are present. All right. We are now moving into the items that we moved on our agenda because we wanted to make sure with time constraints, not to have to waive the rules later on to take action, that we will take action on items 9, 10, and 11. So we'll move into item 9, which is resignations and appointments. The first is the resignation of Richard Leverrier from Conservation Commission. Councilor Menke?
I have it. Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Richard Leverrier as a member of the Conservation Commission in accordance with email correspondence dated November 23rd, 2021, received November 29, 2021, and effective immediately.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Camillo absent. Next item is appointments to Prague Regional Planning Commission.
I can handle that.
Go right ahead. Thank you.
Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointments. Prague Regional Planning Commission, TPZ Representative Thomas Gill, 12 Cheney Avenue, Party R, term 12/14/2021 to 11/30/2023, replaces S. Sobolewski. TPC Alternate Representative Stephen Woods, 94 New Britain Avenue, Party D, term 12/14/2021 to 11/30/2021, 23, I believe that should be. Replaces reappointment of self.
James, can you clarify the term on that one?
23 is the correct term. They have a 2-year term by statute.
Thank you.
Good catch, Councilor Menke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Braverman. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Camillo absent. The next item before us is appointments for the Board of Education Joint Shared Services Subcommittee members. We did receive a memo from Dr. Brummett indicating that the Chairman of the Board of Education, Dr. Bruce Fletcher, made the following appointments to Joint Shared Services Committee Services Subcommittee. It's Dr. Bruce A. Fletcher, the Board of Ed Chairperson, and Board of Education member, Mr. Michael Branda. There is a motion in our packet to make those official.
I'll read it if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby appoints the following members to the Joint Shared Services Subcommittee. Dr. Bruce A. Fletcher, 75 Lantern Lane, Party R, Board of Ed term. Michael Branda, 77 Coronado Drive, Party D, Board of Ed term.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Braverman. For the record, Councilor Camillo rejoined the meeting at 8:39. All right. Any discussion on these appointments for the Joint Shared Services Committee? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. That concludes our resignations and appointments. So we will move on now to item 10, which is refunds. Deputy Mayor Badrego, will you go ahead and do that for us?
Resolved that property tax refunds in the amount of $8,705.38 are hereby approved in the individual amounts, and for those named on the request for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Nagel. Any discussion on these? All right, seeing none, please unmute. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, next item before us is item 11, which is minutes of previous meetings. This evening, I'm looking for a motion to approve the November 23rd, 2021 regular meeting minutes as written.
So moved.
Second.
Mankey, seconded by Counselor Rada. Any discussion on these? Counselor Nagel?
Yes, just want to make a comment. Didn't last time, and it has occurred again on several times within the document. My last name is misspelled. It's Nagel. It happened several times. I'll just mention it's there throughout, and hopefully it'll be corrected and won't happen in the future.
Thank you. Counselor Page?
I think just a couple times I was referred to as Counselor Payne, P-A-N-E, not Page. If that could just be checked, thanks. I don't want to offend Mr. Payne.
No,
or be a pain.
no
All
comment.
Any other changes needed? All right, so we're looking at accepting the minutes of November 23rd, 2021 regular meeting with the changes noted, which would be the spellings of Counselor Nagel's last name and Counselor Page's last name. Mr. Mankey, would you update that motion to reflect such?
I would do so.
Thank you. And who seconded? Counselor Nagel? Nope.
Rada.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, if we can unmute, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, now we're moving back in the agenda to our original agenda, I should say, to new business. And this evening we have quite a lengthy agenda of new business. So we will begin. The first is consideration to cancel the December 28th, 2021 regular meeting. And there is a, in order to do this, because we didn't consider it at our last meeting, this is the first time we're considering, we would have to waive the rules in order to take action to cancel the December 28th meeting. This is, we typically cancel one of the meetings in December and then one in, I believe it's August that we usually cancel one. So this isn't unusual as long as there's not too much business waiting for us. If there were to come up any business and we decided to cancel, we could always call a special meeting. That's always a choice of ours to address whatever needed to be addressed. Counselor Mankey.
I can read the motion to waive if you like, and then speak to it. I don't, how do you want to? Okay. Resolved, the Newington Town Council, in accordance with Section 11 of the Town Council Rules and Procedures, adopted February 11, 2020, hereby moves to allow action on agenda item 8A to cancel the December 28th, 2021 regular meeting.
Thank you. Seconded by Counselor Donahue. Just for the public's knowledge, we typically, by our council rules, we would have an item on as new business, move it to old business at our next meeting before taking action. Because we're not able to do that in this instance, it requires us to waive the rules in order to take action this evening. And that's what this first motion is about. If this passes, the waiver, we would entertain the actual motion to cancel the meeting. And then we would allow public participation because we are moving it up and waiving the rules. That's part of our procedure. All right, so Counselor Mankey, we have it seconded. Any discussion on the waiving of the rules? Okay, hearing none, we will take a vote for waiving. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we will entertain the motion for the cancellation of the meeting. Who would like to do that?
Resolved, the Newington Town Council hereby approves the cancellation of December 28th, 2021 Town Council regular meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Rada. Any discussion on this?
Seconds for that.
I know, everybody was like, yeah, I'll do that. Any discussion on the cancellation?
As long as the party's at Counselor Donahue's house, I'm fine with this.
Come on over, man. I got the beer.
I would just point out this is a common practice. We more often than not cancel the meeting between at the end of the year meeting. Sometimes we do the one in August, sometimes we not. Just for those new people to the council, Kim and Mitch, we will make up for this 20 times over by having other meetings, especially the last year, so the next year. So don't think you got one less meeting to attend, because it's gonna, as time goes on, it blossoms a lot of special meetings. But I think we can probably safely cancel this one without affecting our business.
Thank you for the warning, Counselor.
Don't say you weren't warned.
Before we take a vote on this, because we are waiving the rules, part of our procedure would be to open it up to public comment if any of the public would like to weigh in on this matter. So I'm just going to switch over to that window and wait just a moment. Miss Lyons is there. Go ahead, Miss Lyons.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. And yes, I know it's common practice to cancel the meeting during the holiday week of Christmas and New Year's. I'm just wondering if maybe in next year's that you don't plan to have such presentations as you have tonight. You've got 4 big presentations. We've got new counselors. I'm hoping this isn't the only time that we see this on the agenda. I know last year during CIP, things were changed around, and it didn't seem like you did much discussion on the subject at the time. So hopefully the new counselors will listen. They'll be able to get maybe a printout of the PowerPoints and can ask questions in the future. But my vote is for go ahead and waive the rules and have a happy and healthy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. And we were provided with the materials already in our online folders.
Hopefully the public's available has them too as well.
I'm sure they're available. We can always get that for you if you'd like.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm sorry, James, what'd you say?
They are posted on the website.
Perfect.
I don't have a printer, so I'll be calling James tomorrow or someone to find out where I can get it. Thank you, though.
All right. All right. I don't see any other members of the public with their hands up, so we will go ahead and take our vote regarding the cancellation of the December 28th Town Council regular meeting. If you would unmute, counselors, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. The next item under new business is the street reconstruction paving projects review. Mr. Chapman?
Yes, what we're doing tonight is basically going to provide just a cursory presentation of 4 different areas that will be certainly involved in the discussions going forward, whether in the capital improvement plan or in the operating budget plan. So we have 4 or 5 individuals here tonight that will discuss in a summary fashion where things stand with the first topic tonight is the paving and street reconstruction projects. And Gary Furstenberg's going to present that, our town engineer. He's here and he has a presentation ready to go. So I'm going to turn it right over to Gary.
Thank you. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Keith. Give me a moment to share my screen here. All right. James, are you seeing the am I sharing my screen properly?
You're doing just fine.
All right, I got did the right buttons. All right. So I'll be presenting a snapshot of the town-owned infrastructure. I give credit where credit's due. IT staff prepared these images that we'll be looking at. I've got several to run through, so I'll move through them as quickly as I can. Just as a note, these are engineering tools that I use to manage the town infrastructure. These have not been adopted by town planning and zoning that council. I did make a brief presentation to them last week, so they did have a sneak peek at what infrastructure we do have and what the condition of that infrastructure is. These are a work in progress, so they will change as we move forward, and the timing here is great for CIP. I welcome input and comments, from residents and businesses throughout town. as we move forward and further refine these engineering tools, as I call them. And I work closely with all the public work staff, meaning planning, highway, facilities, parks, to manage the infrastructure. So the first two drawings I'm going to show are just overall land uses in town. These are sort of, this is data that's kind of behind all the drawings that I'll be talking about. I just can't show everything on one drawing because there's just simply too much information to show. But here's a map of town parcels throughout town. The red ones are Board of Education parcels. The green are parks and open space. Purple are town-owned parcels. Most of you are familiar with these, so I'm going to move on to the next part, the next drawing. Another drawing that you've probably seen in the planning and engineering department is the zoning map. Just the different shades are different types of land use throughout town. Just here is Newington Center. You know, I'm sure you're all familiar with where the business districts are and the industrial corridors throughout town. There's a TOD, transit-oriented development overlay in this part of town. That's not shown on this drawing, but I'm just identifying where it is because when we talk about sidewalks and pedestrian facilities and bicycle facilities, that will come into play, obviously. So that's an overlay onto the zoning plan. Another thing that you can see is obviously our town is mostly built out. Moving on to our infrastructure that we have in town. So this drawing is a 20-year look back, essentially, for what roads that we have resurfaced throughout town. I'm going to scroll through things. You're going to, as you see these drawings, just getting you don't need to see and understand all the detail right now, but just getting the big picture. Because if these are full-size drawings that I'm sharing with you. These are 24 by 36, 36 by 48 drawings, and looking at these on your monitor, it may be a little tough to see some of the detail. And if you're looking at this on your telephone image, it's impossible to see the detail. But so we own and manage about 104 miles of road in town. That's, I estimate, to be a $210 million asset that the town has. Over the past 20 years, we've resurfaced about 60 miles in town, and that's about 3 miles per year. So we have to resurface, there's 44 miles remaining to go. If we had a 20-year plan for resurfacing all the roads in town, we're 44 miles behind, or about 40% behind, one could say. That's as a result of back in the early 2000s, we resurfaced about 1 mile per year. In the late 2010s, 16, 17, and so on, that mileage increased. We were resurfacing about 4 miles per town, not 4 miles per year. And if we were to have a true 20-year plan, if we were to implement that, that would be resurfacing 5.1 miles per year. So this is a 20-year look back. Every year has a different color, different symbol to it. And moving forward, we look at we've evaluated all the roads in town. So the green roads are the roads that are in good condition. Roads that are red are in poor condition, and roads that are orange and yellow are somewhere in between. But here's the scale, as you can see. Back in, this data is from, I'm going to say the original data was 2013, when we hired a consultant to evaluate all the roads in town. We update that database annually. In addition to this is RSR data, as I call it. We take into account the windshield surveys that town staff do. Obviously, comments from residents and businesses too. A few months back, I requested CROG to do a pavement, a more detailed pavement evaluation for 3 corridors in town that I'm considering for future lot SIP grants. And those corridors are Fenn Road here highlighted, Alumni Road here highlighted, and this part of Maple Hill Avenue that are highlighted. You say all this data goes into preparing the CIP for the roads, and that is what this drawing is showing. This is the future roads. I'm going to scroll down. Essentially, Each year, again, has its own symbol and color to denote that. We do CIP planning in a 5-year cycle. This plan here actually shows 6 years because I just added the next year into the cycle here this past weekend. So I'm going to call it year 1. I'm going to call it, or the current year, I'm going to call year 0. So it's still a 5-year plan, is the way I'll be speaking. But let me scroll down here and look at my notes.
Gary, if I may interrupt just for a second, I just want to point out, if you look under right there, that's a key right there, average 6 miles per year. We are so far behind. We're about 44 miles behind right now to do an average of 5 or 6 miles a year. So this is an example where the can has been kicked literally down the road year after year, whereas Gary points out we were doing 1, maybe 2 miles a year, and now we're looking at doing 6 miles a year to catch up and then level off at about 5 miles a year. So it's going to be a major undertaking, but it's an example of how the infrastructure doesn't stop deteriorating just because we don't fund it. It continues to fall apart to the point now we're playing catch up. We'll be playing catch up for many, many years to come on streets and all of the other infrastructure we have. Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
No, thanks, Keith. Yeah, you hit some of my points, so I'm not gonna double up on it. But yes, we are playing catch up. This whole plan, you can see, it really takes a whole neighborhood approach. The first year we're working on, or year 0, we're working on roads in the northern end of town. Year 2 is roads in this central region of town. Year 3, it's this entire the entire neighborhood over here gets redone, and we just move throughout town wherever the need is the greatest, essentially. It's a great program. I think we're making some catch up. We're making some great headway. If we were to resurface the roads on our 4-year plan, we'd be doing this. Our roads would be on a 40-year cycle. So by making this additional investment into our roads, we're getting this down to a 30-year cycle. And eventually we like to, like Keith mentioned, level off at a 20-year cycle and resurface or reconstruct roads in a 5-year cycle. We've got a couple of grant projects in here. These are highlighted in yellow here. So next year, and I know you want to hear more about this, the LOTSIP grant project for Maple Hill and Robbins. This is another 2-mile corridor. So with this 2-mile corridor, in addition to the 6 miles that we're doing, we're resurfacing almost 8 miles next year. So we'll be making great headway in attacking the deficit in the roads. And then if you want to take a look at this is all the roads that we've done since 2000, plus the CIP roads that we have in the CIP plan. As you can see, it's fairly complete. We've done most of the roads, but I can't say we've done all the roads. So we're sort of like on a 30-year cycle or a 30-year plan, but we're moving toward a 20-year plan. All right. So in addition to just simple roads that we maintain a series of bridges and culverts throughout town. Fortunately, there's not many, but these bridges and culverts I've estimated to be a $50 million asset to the town. There are 2 traditional or conventional bridges as you would think of them. The bridge here on Main Street crossing Piper Brook, and the bridge on Dowd Street crossing Millbrook. The DOT's definition of a bridge is anything over 20 feet. So some of these culverts and pipe culverts, the DOT also classifies as bridges, although they're not conventional bridges as you might think. But this symbol is a triple box culvert. This is diamonds or the triangles are an arch and the circles are pipes. So if there's 3 together, that's a triple box. Here we got individual pipes. The bridge on Garfield Street, that's a double box. A triple pipe down here on Cole Street, Coles Avenue. The colors are green is good. The orange and yellows are fair, and the grays are incomplete. The inspection data that we have is incomplete. That's all I got there. Moving on to the next plan is the traffic signal plan. I'm just going to zoom out so you can see essentially the whole town. I guess it's a blessing and a curse to have so many state highways in town, but the red roads are the state highways. We've got 2 north-south corridors, along with 2 east-west corridors, in addition to the Route 9 Expressway and the Berlin Turnpike. The traffic signals on the state roads are owned and operated and installed by the DOT. As a benefit to the town, they also install EVPS systems on the traffic signals. That's emergency vehicle preemptive system. And that's primarily for the fire trucks to get priority going through busy intersections. There's an infrared emitter that the fire trucks have, and there's a receiver on each signal that can receive that signal. Just note that the EVPS system is there for the benefit of the town. So the town is responsible for maintaining those EVPS systems. And there are about 40 EVPS systems on the state signals. The town-owned signals are the ones, I'm going to zoom in here. These would be like a filled-in color. So the red, yellow, and green is a town-owned signal. The open ones are state signals. The state signals also have a number, and that's a DOT designation for that intersection. The town, we have 9 signals and 4 flashing signals throughout town. The flashes are mostly at the fire stations, Firehouse 1, 2, and 3, as well as Kitts Lane here. If we don't already have EVPS at those signals, we're looking to add EVPS technology to the town signals. Likewise, if we don't already have the grid smart vehicle detection systems at the signals, we're looking to add those to our signals also. The traffic signals I've estimated to be about a $10 million asset to the town. Moving on to the next item is bike lanes, and we've had a lot of great discussion about that. I'm very excited to hear that. Myself personally, I am a bicycle advocate. Unfortunately, my bicycle spends way too much time in the garage, but here we go. So the green lines are existing bike paths and bike roads, bikeways in town. The dark green here is the Connecticut DOT fast track system. This is not a state-owned system, or I'm sorry, it is not a town-owned system. It is a state-owned system, but nonetheless, I've highlighted it and marked it on the plan. The only town bike route in town is on West Hartford Road, and that was recently just striped a few months back after we resurfaced that road. And that those bike lanes, they tie into the bike lanes in West Hartford on Main Street. So it's an extension of that system. We have plans to install bike lanes on Fenn Road and connecting down to the Cedar Street Station, as well as Central Connecticut State University, Connecticut Avenue, to bring folks into downtown. A lot of these roads that we're planning to install bike lanes on they're just wider roads that can accommodate bike lanes. It's really unfortunate that a lot of the state roads in town, the traffic volumes are so high and the road width is so narrow that they really can't accommodate or safely accommodate bicycle traffic. So all these bike lanes are really on town-owned roads that I'm proposing. I personally, as a biker, have a really hard time recommending somebody to ride a bike on a state road in town. Just again, like I mentioned, due to some of those the issues that we have to deal with. So jumping forward to additional bike lanes on Maple Hill Avenue here, Robbins Avenue. Again, there's space to do that. We can repurpose the pavements, the existing pavements that we already have. We don't have to widen the road to put these bicycle facilities in. We plan to put sharrows. These are roads that are a little less, the traffic volume is a little less, and they're a little narrow. They're roads, they don't have the existing pavement that's wide enough that we could put a bike lane, but we can add sharrow lanes. That's a shared vehicle and shared bike lane on Garfield Street, Walsh Street, and Audubon Street. So the bike plan, it's a start. I'd love to talk to other bicycle enthusiasts throughout town and other businesses, how ways that we can further expand the bike plan. But it brings people downtown, it gets people to our schools, to our parks, and it's a start. So, oh, by the way, also too, I have spoken to the staff at Newington Cycle, Trek Cycle, and down in the Newington Center. They do support the plan. They were very happy to see this plan. In fact, their own staff use these roads that we plan to put bicycle lanes on ourselves. So it's hopefully that's a partnership that's developing and will further grow. All right, I'm gonna move ahead here. I'm going to have a couple of drawings to talk about sidewalks, but before we talk about sidewalks, I'm going to talk about what I call a pedestrian influence plan. So we're looking at pedestrian generators and pedestrian receptors. Pedestrian generators would be residential neighborhoods, apartment complexes. Pedestrian receptors would be the parks, again, which are highlighted in green. Some of the government center buildings, I guess they're highlighted in green here too. But that could also include the VA facility over here in town, federal facilities, and the pink lines that you see here are bus routes. We do have, the town is crisscrossed pretty well with bus routes, but it's not a real dense network. It's again only on major roads, and some of those major roads are really hard to get to for pedestrians, such as the Berlin Turnpike, as we had talked about earlier. And this plan does show the TOD district on here. So that's the Cedar Street station, as well as if a train station would be built in this part of Cedar Street, potentially. There's one other location in town too. The Newington Junction was another location for a future train station, but that's another topic, train stations. So the existing sidewalk plan, that is this. So the yellow lines on here are existing sidewalks. Again, the pink are the bus routes. The red dots that you see here are crosswalks, striped crosswalks. These sidewalks, they do extend into the neighboring towns, as you can see. And as I just scroll through, it's obvious, every road doesn't have a sidewalk. That's when you bring up that topic, that's results in great discussion. Does every road need a sidewalk? That's debatable, but one thing that's not debatable is that the busy roads do need sidewalks. I think we all agree on that for the most part. And when I go look at the proposed sidewalk plan, that's this plan here. Again, the yellow is existing sidewalks, and the red lines here are what I call high priority sidewalks. Blue are medium priority sidewalks, and green are low priority sidewalks. Mostly the high priority sidewalks are on busy roads, such as Willard Street here, Fenn, a little part of Cedar here, and Maple Hill Avenue, Garfield Street, Robbins, Main Street. That's about it for the high priority sidewalks. Let me bounce back to, again, sidewalks. We have about 50 miles of sidewalks in town. I estimate that to be a $50 million asset to the town. The proposed sidewalk plan here shows about 4.5 miles of future sidewalk as high priority, 4.5 miles of medium priority, about 7 miles of low priority. The medium priority sidewalks are just more connectors, providing better pedestrian access throughout town, such as along Audubon here and Walsh. Not too many in the northern part of town, but a couple more blue lines in the southern part of town, really connecting sidewalk gaps, say along Church Street and that sort of thing, sidewalk gaps along Culver Street. And then the green lines are really just connecting, extending further into residential neighborhoods, and again, really connecting their sidewalk gaps. It is more or less the way I characterize them. The town, we have removed sidewalks in 3 neighborhoods in town where residents, they have access to remove sidewalks, particularly on Brace Street here and down on Centerwood here. We did remove sidewalks 2 summers ago on Sequin Street here, and that was just because the sidewalks were in such poor condition and the sidewalks were underfunded that we just didn't put them back. Furthermore, the residents on Theodore Street, again, this is a sidewalk that goes to nowhere. Sidewalks it's in poor condition, it's safe to say, and the residents have requested that the sidewalk be removed there. So those are sort of things that we're moving forward. We've got proposed streetscape projects in Newington Center here for the red lines. Let's see here. overall, one more thing that's a very unique feature of this sidewalk plan, and I'm gonna guess it's gonna be would generate a good discussion, would be pedestrian overpasses over some of our busy streets in town. The Berlin Turnpike, we all know it's a very busy road, virtually impossible for pedestrians to cross, but you and I, we all see them out there. Last month, I saw a guy in a wheelchair trying to cross the Berlin Turnpike. I almost felt like I had to stop my vehicle in the middle of the road and guide him across. It's just the traffic. It's just not a pedestrian friendly road. I'd like to see pedestrian overpasses here down at Deming and Richard Street, Main Street and Griswoldville Avenue, as well as Kitts Avenue. I think those are three locations that we can extend sidewalks to, provide pedestrian overpasses so people can safely cross over the Berlin Turnpike. It's an awesome commercial corridor, but it simply just divides our town, from one half to the other half. The other major road in town is Cedar Street, carries like 30,000 vehicles a day. Like to see pedestrian overpasses down here at Alumni and Maple Hill Avenue. Here at Willard Avenue, where we're just south of the high school, and one in the downtown area, looking at say Hawley and Constance Lee. So the pedestrian plan is, I'd call it a fairly aggressive plan. This is probably about a $50 or $60 million plan that we're looking at. Drainage in town. The town, we have about 95 miles of pipe in town. Again, that's a $200 million asset, I estimate. I think we all know that drainage is kind of tough in town. We've got a lot of flat level ground. We really don't have gravity working in our favor. We got a lot of low permeable soils, silts and clays. The water just doesn't infiltrate or drain through those soils. We're an urban area. We got lots of paved areas and hard surfaces and roofs throughout town. We got a shallow depth to water, wetlands throughout town, shallow depth to rock. Just sort of things are just not conducive to promoting drainage. But in town, we've got 5 major watersheds. This orangish type color is Piper Brook, drains to the north. Millbrook here drains to the north, as well as Schoolhouse Brook, which drains into Mill Pond, and Millbrook drains to the north. In the south, we've got Webster Brook here in the blue, and this yellow shade is Schoolhouse Brook. In town, we've got, in addition to the 95 miles of pipe in town, we've got over 4,000 drainage structures in town, whether that be a manhole, a catch basin, inlet, or outlet. In the past, there's been a number of drainage studies done in town. In 1970, McGuire Associates, they did a study for the entire town. 2010, Beta did a study of 5 areas. 4 of them are here. They're outlined in blue, as well as the area up here in the Reservoir Road neighborhood. Currently, the DOT is studying the area outlined in red here. This drainage structure is the drainage structure under Main Street, between Atwood and Dowd Street, is the main structure that's being studied there. Just 2 summers ago, the DOT and CNG, they removed an obstruction in a manhole there. So that system has been flowing much better since that obstruction has been removed. But the DOT is looking at upsizing the size of that culvert there, the box culvert. The NDC is studying areas in the southern part of town. These are more or less infiltration problems with the DOT, not the DOT, that the NDC is studying. These areas, they don't have a whole lot of drainage, so if to reduce the drainage, the infiltration into the NDC pipe, there may need to be drainage features installed in those neighborhoods. And the town, we are currently studying the Badger Park neighborhood here, as well as the Fisk and Gilbert neighborhood here. The areas shaded in green here are areas that we've done pipe inspections. We've inspected about 3 miles of pipe over the past couple of years, about 2 miles in the Maple Hill and Robbins corridor, about half a mile in the Badger Field neighborhood, as well as another half a mile in the Fisk and Gilbert neighborhood. This plan is not well established or well developed, but we do plan to replace about 1,000 feet of pipe in the Maple Hill and Robbins corridor, and that was as a result of the of the pipe inspections that we did in that corridor. I'd also like to work with IT to expand the GIS database to identify other areas of corrugated metal pipes in town. Many of those pipes, they were installed back in the 40s and 50s. Whoa! Think I'm falling asleep here when the lights go out. Anyhow, a lot of these the corrugated metal pipes, they were installed back in the 40s and 50s when the town population was exploding. We were doubling our population, in a 10-year period. Many of those pipes were put in as corrugated metal pipes. That was common practice back in that era. So that means that those pipes are probably 60, 70, 75 years old. I can tell you that a corrugated metal pipe has a lifespan less than 100 years. So those pipes are nearing the end of their useful life, and we need to identify those pipes and replace those pipes before they collapse and we have settlements and sinkholes in our roads. Moving on to the final, I got 2 more drawings. This is a drawing showing the flood control system in town. It's part of the Park Branch, South Branch Park River system. It's a regional system in Newington, West Hartford, and Hartford. Total length is about 3 miles, drains an area of about 20 square miles. Just in perspective, Newington has an area of 13 square miles. So it drains an area almost the size, 1.5 times the size of Newington. So it's a fairly large watershed. This system was built in the 1960s by the federal government. It was intended to be maintained by the town. There's lots of incomplete legal documents out there, but in an ideal world, the federal and state government would hand this off to the town, and the town would be responsible for maintenance of the system, which consists of mowing and dredging the ponds. Particularly in Newington, we have 1.4 miles of flood control system in town, along with 5 sediment ponds. This is a $200 million asset, I estimate. The purpose of this system is to convey water and move water out of the watershed. So it moves water into the Connecticut River and down to ultimately into the Long Island Sound. It is not a system that holds water. It's a conveyance system that moves the water out of town. Back in October, when I did the annual inspection with the NCRS and DEP staff, they had mentioned some proposals for expanding the system. So the existing system right now, it's highlighted in yellow here. There's a discontinuous piece down here near Main Street and another discontinuous piece down here on Dowd Street. So they had mentioned expanding the Piper Brook system from where it terminates here down to Francis Street and connecting the Millbrook gaps and extending Millbrook potentially down to Cedar Street. I don't imagine those improvements will be funded by the town, hopefully not. But I'm sure there's going to be some sort of string associated with it, i.e. Mowing and dredging in the future. So anyhow, we'll be cautiously optimistic as those plans move forward. Finally, my final plan is a summary of grant projects, just looking at the legends. So I went back as far as I could. I'm only aware of 1 grant project where the town resurfaced part of Kelsey and Church Street back in 2010. Since then, we've aggressively tried to attain grant funding. We've got 8 different projects in various stages of grant application or design. Maple Hill and Robbins is the corridor in brown here. James and I, we plan to submit some legal documents to the DOT later this week. I am anticipating receiving the project authorization letter in January. After we receive that letter, we can go out to bid. I'm anticipating construction in 2020. This is a streetscape project here highlighted in green. This is a sidewalk project here highlighted in I guess magenta or purple. The Garfield Street Community Connectivity Project. The green here, this is a little misnomer here, but it's an America the Beautiful grant to Bill has a tree inventory in town where they've been inventoried 2,500 trees about, and like to add that, incorporate that data into the town GIS system. So that's a throughout town thing. It's just not here in Mill Pond Park. We're replacing windows over at the senior center here for this star. And this star here is an a traffic signal and intersection improvement project at Maple Hill, Alumni, and Cedar Streets. And as we go forward, that may change or it may evolve as we go forward. A future LOTSIP project would be complete streets along Fenn Road, as well as, I'm going to say, a future complete street would be Maple Hill Avenue. I'd like to do Alumni Avenue, Alumni Road also, but the problem with Alumni Road is that they have to be arterials. And due to the gate on Alumni Road, it's certainly not an arterial. And a dead end road cannot be an arterial, pretty much by definition. So with that, that's what I got, and open to questions and comments.
If I may just jump in real quick, just want to point out that the engineering staff, which is what Gary heads up, is has a lot of responsibilities, and it's a two-man operation. So keep that in mind when you put things in perspective. What Gary just went over with you is basically his responsibility along with his assistant. And he does a remarkable job. And I'm very proud of this presentation tonight. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Keith.
No need to be sorry. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Gary. That was a great presentation. It looks like we have a bunch of hands up, so I'll start with, let's see who's first on my screen here. Councilor Page.
Thank you very much for a thorough presentation. I'm still trying to take it all in. Can the council, I've got a few questions. The first would be, can the council receive, I know in on the repaving, you talked about years projected out of paving. So that was clearer in terms of time frame. Can the council receive dates or timeframes for the wonderful work you're going to do on sidewalks and bike lanes? And let's see, well, we can talk about streetscape. Is that something we could get in terms of the next year or two or three when that's going to happen?
I'll admit I don't have a real firm schedule for everything, Councilor Page. Just the hot items really are Maple Hill and Robbins, and moving that forward. In addition to all the stuff that you see here, we spend a lot of time supporting the economic development that goes on in town. Pretty much when an economic development project comes in, all these projects that you see here, they go on hold. They go on hold until we're able to process those, that economic development work and move that. Because we just put such a priority on economic development, which it makes sense. I mean, we have to, given the economics of the town. So economic development is prioritized one, and then everything else falls after that.
Thanks. And then the next question I have is, and maybe I dreamt this somewhere, but along the discussion of lights, traffic lights, is there or happening, or is it a plan to time the traffic lights on Cedar Street so that traffic flow can be improved? Or is that only in my imagination?
No, it is not your imagination. That is a state traffic project. In fact, there are 2 state traffic projects in town. They're basically demonstration type projects. These sort of things, they have not, I mean, the signals, they are timed a little bit right now. But the state, they're going through, they're installing fiber optic cable up and down the turnpike, up and down Cedar Street. And so there's 2 projects for both of those roads. It's called the CCTS. I forget the exact acronym, but it's some sort of, it's a traffic system where they're all talking together. There are significant technology improvements that allow that to happen, such as the smart grid systems and different new vehicle detection systems that make that happen. If you go out to the Berlin Turnpike, you can see this construction in real time. It's going on right now.
That's great. Thanks.
But I say that those are not town projects. I'm aware of them. I do try to post that information as it becomes available to the engineering webpage under projects around town.
Okay, great. Thank you. And just the last, these are 2 comments, actually. I'm not asking for you to respond in your position right now. One is, I know there's some grant monies allocated. I think it's 500,000, and you addressed streetscapes briefly for New Britain Ave and Maple Hill. I hope we can do something about that and make that happen. And then the last comment I have is, I'd like at some point, and this is really to Mr. Chapman, because I don't know the answer to this, but you mentioned staffing, and I need to learn this stuff. It's a steep learning curve. Again, I'm not asking for a response. I'd like us to, though, to look at some point of our engineering staffing relative to similar towns of our size and scope, because while I get that budgets are tight, if it's the case that we had more staffing to help you do this job and move our town further ahead, I think we should consider that. That's all. I think I'm done. I thank you very much for this great presentation.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Page. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko?
Yeah, Gary, this is the first time I've seen all this information gathered in one place. I just learned a lot listening to this, but this is more of an editorial comment towards our agenda or whatever. This presentation alone could have just been the only presentation we had tonight. I mean, I wish you were probably, speeding along because you were told there was others, but this is significant information that I think we all needed to digest and be able to take apart. And just in terms of, I think it's a disservice to you, and it certainly is a disservice to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people following you on a presentation. And it really makes me right now reconsider my vote on canceling the meeting I think all of the presenters tonight, including you, deserve more time. We deserve more time to kind of listen and digest. And I just think I appreciate the information, and I'm going to listen just as thoroughly to the people who are following you. But this just is an awful lot in one evening. And I really think we've done a disservice to the presenters and a disservice to ourselves to be able to ask thorough questions, review the slides, take our time. And but in any event, Gary, thank you very much. And I'll probably be asking you stuff off the record.
That's fine, Gail. I'm open. I'm open to it. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of information here. Some of these drawings, that we've had in the past. But a lot of these drawings, these are drawings that I've just created with the IT staff over the past couple months to present them in this sort of presentation, so that to really give you a snapshot. If you want to talk about the detail, I'm all ears. You got me. You got my contact information.
Yeah, let me just jump in here. This was my request that these individuals come before the council tonight. It is not intended that this is the last time you're going to hear from Gary. This is just the beginning. I know that in the past years, this has not been the approach that has been used. This was what was done many, many years ago, and we're bringing back that practice. So you'll be seeing more of each one of these individuals throughout the next 6 months, particularly throughout the budget process. But we wanted to, with the new counselors being on board and knowing that many of you have never heard this information before, it's just a precursor to what is coming. It's not intended to, get into a heavy discussion tonight. It's to just enlighten you as to what we are working on in these areas that deal with capital improvements and large funding and so forth. So keep that in mind. And the others, they're on a 20-25 minute time limit. It should go fairly quickly. Gary's done a great job, and he has one of the larger areas, but I think that you'll find that this is worthwhile, and then we'll follow up certainly down the road with further discussions in all of these areas. Thank you. In fact, I would suggest that you not have questions tonight. Just listen, take the information that's been provided to you, and then at a later date, when we bring each person back, you'll have your questions lined up and you'll have more time to get into a dialogue. This is strictly just for presentation tonight.
Okay. I do still have a couple hands up, so I'm going to afford counselors the opportunity to speak if they choose to. While I understand that Mr. Chapman is suggesting that we hold our questions if it's really urgent and you feel you need to, go right ahead. But I would say we do have a weighty agenda, so try to limit it if possible. Councilor Rada?
Yeah, and I'm going to put it out here, but Gary, I will get in touch with you at another time. It's just a question that I have about traffic signals outside of each of the 4 firehouses. And you don't have to answer now, but this is something that came up a few months ago, and I'll get in touch with you and ask you the question, and I'm sure you'll have the information for me.
Very good.
Councilor Nagel?
Yes, just want to briefly clear up with Councilor Page to let him know he wasn't daydreaming. I came to a council meeting a while ago through Prague and also through someone in town that I talked to who works for the DOT and shared information with me. And he suggested that sometimes someone from the DOT come and talk about those lights. They're state of the art. They are sensors. We're one of the few places where they're being put in the United States, and they are going along the Berlin Turnpike and also on Cedar. So that's where you heard it from, and it's just to give a little more information than what was provided right now. And whatever else I had a question for, I'll save for a later time. Thanks.
Thank you. Next item, I don't see any other hands up, so we'll move on. The next item this evening is the Fleet Vehicle Equipment Reserve Program Review. Mr. Chapman?
Yes, this is going to be presented by Rob Hillman, our highway superintendent. Part of the highway operation beyond doing the 104 miles of street maintenance and snow plowing and all of those types of things, they also have the motor vehicle fleet under their command. And it's another area where, we've had a plan in place for many years that unfortunately has been maneuvered and not necessarily followed to the degree it should be. So we're going to bring back a lot of what we've done in the past to make this equipment reserve plan probably one of the best in the country. And it takes care of the needs of all the departments outside of the Board of Education when it comes to motor vehicles and rolling stock. And we purchase them, we maintain them, and we dispose of them in a timely manner. So Rob's going to present now that portion. Okay, Rob, it's yours.
Thank you, Keith. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just want to let you know that tonight I do have Hermes Lavoie, our mechanic foreperson with me tonight. He's been with the town for 25 years, and 13 of those years have been as the mechanic foreman. So I didn't know originally if we were going to have any questions, so he was here just in case I need a little help in answering some of your questions. So let me just start by saying that this equipment program equipment reserve program was created by our current town manager when he served in the same capacity about 25 years ago. It's a true equipment reserve program in that it is funded annually, and the equipment reserve program provides for the replacement of existing major equipment and rolling stock. The program is a mechanism for funding the purchase of vehicles that meet the requirements of the capital improvement program. And you can see the requirements for the program here on the slide. It has to have a life expectancy of at least 7 years and a cost of at least $25,000. And there, as you may ask, we do have other equipment such as mowers and things that don't meet those requirements. Those would fall under the department's operating budgets. The equipment that you see that meet those requirements that you see on the slide are the ones that fall under the CIP. And now the next slide is pretty much just an overview of the program. This is an overview of the funding for the 5-year program. You can see that the majority of the funding is through the annual depreciation, which is a schedule that the finance department has set forward. I'll explain that a little bit further along the presentation towards the end when I go through the life cycle of one of the vehicles. And a portion of it is funded by lease payments. These lease payments are generally made for larger vehicles such as the fire apparatus. These costs are ever changing, and some of the costs of these vehicles are upwards of $1 million. And if we were to fund them through the CIP program, it would just deplete the program. So through the finance department and town manager, it was decided that it was probably not probably, but it was in the best interest of the town to lease these larger vehicles and pay for them out of the operation budget as opposed to depleting the CIP program. That's basically the 5-year program. You can see it's upwards of $1 million each year. The next group of slides are going to be of some of the equipment that we have in town. The heavy equipment, the anticipated life expectancy of those vehicles, or equipment rather, are anywhere between 20 and 25 years. And I say anticipated life expectancy because we have an amazing maintenance program that's run by Hermes. Our mechanics are top notch. And some of these vehicles we're able to keep a little bit longer. We're able to push them off. We find it's in the best interest of the town because some of them have had some major overhauls. We spent a few dollars on them, so we decided that it's in the best interest to keep them a little bit longer. Sometimes Hermes is pretty good in dealing with some of these manufacturers, and he's even gotten some extended warranties on these vehicles. So it's been in our best interest to push them off and save the town a few dollars and purchase vehicles in the future. But some of these pieces of equipment are payloaders, backhoes, bulldozers, paving, the paving box, leaf equipment, skid steer loader. These are the larger pieces of equipment. Here you have a picture of this is actually, we just purchased this year. That's our new sweeper. Here we have our Bobcat with forestry cutter. The forestry cutter that we purchased for that Bobcat has been a godsend in clearing out waterways and detention basins. We've been using that the past few years and gotten caught up on a lot of things that we've been able to do in the past. The next slide that we have is of which is a gang mower, which is what you see the Parks Department using to mow the large ball fields and parks in town. And then that's the last one for the heavy equipment. And these are just to give you some ideas of what we have in town that you may not be aware of, like I mentioned. Next, we have the police and general government vehicles. These are the police, the life expectancies of these vehicles are anywhere between 7 and 15 years. The patrol vehicles, which are on the road all the time, are the ones that are on the lower end of the life expectancy. For the admin vehicles, the ones such for the the chief, the lieutenants, sergeants, and whatnot, those obviously will have a longer life expectancy as they just don't get the mileage on them. Some of the other vehicles that that are included here are the dial ride buses, some of the pieces of equipment for the facilities department, the aerial trucks that they have to replace some of the street lights that we own in town. And here is just the next one is just a picture of obviously one of our patrol vehicles that I'm sure you are all aware of that we have. Next group would be the highway and parks vehicles. These are the life expectancies of these vehicles ranging anywhere from 10 to 20 years. The dump trucks, pickup trucks, those would be on the lower end. Those would be around the 10 years. Where the 6-wheel dump trucks, the trucks that you see plowing the roads, the triaxle dump truck that we have, the jet rod truck, and the catch basin vacuum truck, those would have a longer duration. And there's a picture of the backhaul truck that we have in town. That's been a great piece of equipment that we've been able to use, considering the amount of catch basins that we repair in town. Next one is the triaxle, which was purchased a couple years ago. That's great for the larger construction jobs that we do. It hauls upwards of 20 ton of material, and it's great for doing larger projects. The next group is the fire department vehicles. These you're going to see there's a larger span here with the life expectancies of vehicles anywhere from 10 to 25 years. That's because these are the ladder trucks, the pumper trucks, and those have longer life expectancies. They don't get a lot of miles on them, but you want a vehicle. Obviously, when you have an emergency, you want a vehicle that is going to be able to respond and take care of that emergency. But we figured that through our maintenance program, we've been able to keep these larger vehicles for 23 and 25 years. Just run you through some of the pieces of equipment that the vehicles The first is the CP8. That's the mobile command unit that they use for mutual aid and things like that. And then the next one is one of the engines. Actually, it's the rescue vehicle that they have with Company 1. And the next ones are the fire trucks that we have. You can see they're kept in great condition. We have our fire mechanic is top notch, and he pays attention to these vehicles, and he does a great job with that. The next group of slides are going to be basically what you'll see in the CIP book that comes out every year. And this being the general government, I know the slide might not be that great. You can't see it all that well, but I'm just going to run you through the life of a vehicle. The vehicle on top is Planning 753. That's a Honda Civic hybrid. Currently, thank you, James. Currently, it has 29,547 miles on it. This past year, there was 13,883 miles on it. You can see it doesn't get a lot of miles on it. And so through that, and the fact that Hermes was able to extend the warranty, this would have been typically a 10-year vehicle, but we were able to extend that out to 14 years, which was great. And the next one is the original purchase price of the vehicle, which was $29,580, and the depreciation. So that's the magic numbers that the finance, Lisa, and our finance department comes up with, and that is funded. The depreciation is put into an account, and that is funded every year. That's why this is a true reserve program. We don't have to go to council every year to ask for money. That money is already in an account. So when the time comes to purchase these vehicles, the money is there. There's no questions asked as far as, we need more money or how are we gonna make this up? So that's what makes this program work so well. And then you move on to column 3. That's the current replacement cost at the time in 2021. So the replacement, seeing as though this is going to be replaced this year, the replacement cost is the same as $34,599. Now, once this vehicle is replaced, there's a couple options. They can either we either send them to auction, or we actually move them down in the list. You'll see there's a group of vehicles down at the bottom that don't have any replacement costs or depreciation associated with them. These are spare vehicles. So when this planning vehicle is basically gone through its useful life, anticipated life, it's moved down into this group, so it becomes a spare vehicle. Whether it be for a vehicle that we leave here at the highway garage when another vehicle is in for maintenance, the town planner or the town engineer has a vehicle that he can take, as opposed to looking around for a vehicle, we keep that spare vehicle. So that's going to replace vehicle 752, and 752 is actually going to go to auction. So that is how it works. So once that vehicle has gone through its anticipated life cycle, it either goes to auction or it will be moved down to the list, be used as a spare vehicle. And these spare vehicles are vital to our departments, especially the Parks Department, where they have so many seasonal employees. We just don't have enough vehicles. So these vehicles are kept in the fleet, and it's kind of up to me as the department head and Hermes as the mechanic foreperson, which is Hermes. When these vehicles have gotten to a point where they've lost a transmission or something to that effect, at that point their useful life is pretty much used up. So that at that point they'll go to auction. But there's other departments as well that need spare vehicles. The fire department also needs spare vehicles. When they have training, they'll need to jump in a vehicle and go to their training and things of that nature. So these spare vehicles are certainly vital. And with our durable maintenance program, these vehicles are well kept and they're very useful at the end of their life. And then the next few slides will give you some ideas of what other vehicles are in the fleet. The next one is the police department. You'll see the ones on top are the admin vehicles. These are for the K9, the police chief, lieutenants and those. And then the next group are the patrol vehicles. Those are the ones that you'll see on the road every day. And then the next slide is the fire department. There they have their all their engines, their aerial trucks, the rescue trucks, the CP8, and there's a few of the antique vehicles way down at the bottom, the Buffalo pumpers. Those are the antique vehicles that they bring out for the parades. And then here, the next one is the highway department, which is probably the largest fleet that we have in town. All of our dump trucks, all of our payloaders and things of that are in there.
Rob, if I may interrupt just for a second, just so you get an understanding. If you look over on the right side of the page, you'll see that the year 2000, what is it, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. If we wanted to expand this out, you would know for the next 100 years when that vehicle is going to get replaced. If it's a 10-year cycle, every 10 years you would see a new vehicle. You will also see the cost of the vehicle rise by, I think we do a 3.5 or 4% increase every year.
Yes.
But you could actually see for the next 100 years, if you wanted to go out that far, how much these vehicles are going to cost the town. There is no other town that I'm aware of that does this replacement program the way we do it. And it's a masterpiece, to tell you the truth. And it's been massaged over the years, starting back with Joan McGovern and Ian Harder, and kept moving along to where now Lisa over in the finance department handles it with Rob and Hermes. And it's a masterpiece of a document that is a no-brainer. And as pointed out by Rob, the funding is already in place for vehicles getting replaced, where we don't have to look at spending, or going to the council and asking for millions of dollars every year, because the funding is already there. So it's a great program. Thank you. Go ahead, Rob.
No, that was pretty much it, Keith. That was going to be the last point that I was hit, but I appreciate you taking the lead and letting them know that it's projected out for as long as you would want to carry it out. It's a great program, and Lisa and Hermes do a great job of keeping it accurate and keeping it up to date. And Hermes does a great job with following through with it. And we have some great pieces of equipment in our fleet. We have some great vehicles in our fleet, which provides us, the opportunity to provide the snow plowing that we do, the leaf collection that we do. Without this program, I don't think we'd be able to provide the services that we're able to provide the residents of Newington.
Great, thank you, Rob.
No problem.
If we have no questions, Mayor, I'd like to move on to the next presentation.
All right, I don't see any hands up right now, so we can continue. The next one is Public Safety Radio Project Review.
Yes, now Paul Butat, which is our IT director, will be presenting both the IT and the Public Safety Radio program that we've been working on for the last year. So I'm going to turn it right over to Paul, and I'll jump in as I see necessary, we'll say.
Okay.
Go ahead, Paul.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me here tonight to provide you with an update and overview on the town's two-way radio system project. The town's existing radio system has been in service for almost 20 years and serves the police, fire, EMS, town general government, and Newington Public Schools. In total, our existing system has over 900 subscribers. A subscriber is either a portable or a walkie-talkie radio or a mobile radio, typically mounted in a vehicle or set up to be used as a base station. Although the system has supported town operations for many years, it is not a Project 25 or P25 or APCO 25 rated system and lacks the resiliency that such a system would offer. P25 is a suite of standards for interoperability between digital two-way radio products and commonly implemented by dispatch organizations such as police, fire, EMS, and agencies supporting public safety efforts. Most of the town's current radio infrastructure has reached end of life or is nearing that point. New parts are difficult, if not impossible to find. Over the last few years, used parts and rebuilt parts have been used to facilitate repairs and hold the system together. Our public safety teams have expressed concern about the viability of the system going forward. Phase one of this project consisted of the town manager's office hiring New England radio consultants. NERC met with all stakeholders using our existing two-way radio system, which consists of the police, the fire, the EMS, town general government, and Newington Public Schools. NERC was charged with site inspections, stakeholder interviews, RF site, which are radio towers inspections, and providing a report to the Office of Town Manager and detailing their findings and recommendations. On January 26, 2021, NERC shared their findings and recommendation with the Town Council during a virtual Town Council regular meeting. NERC recommended that the town of Newington's public safety agencies join the state of Connecticut's Land Mobile Radio Network, which is abbreviated as CLMRN, replace the equipment at 2 existing RF sites in town, add an additional RF site, which would make 3, upgrade the town's public safety radio consoles, and purchase all new portable and mobile radios. Furthermore, NERC recommended that the Newington Public Schools either continue using the existing two-way radio system or upgrade to a new digital mobile radio system to accommodate their needs. NERC estimated cost to implement their plan between $6 and $8 million. NERC offered their services to the town for phase 2 of our project, but the offer was declined by the Office of Town Manager after review of their cost and scope of work. Town Manager Chapman assigned me as the project lead to move things forward. During phase 1, NERC recommended that our two-way radio project be separated into 2 parts. First part was to address the needs of our public safety teams and the departments supporting our public safety teams, and the second part addressing the needs of the Newington Public Schools. During phase 2, we obtained comparison pricing from our town's existing radio vendor, Marcus Communications, and had them provide our public safety teams with a presentation regarding their recommendations to upgrade the existing infrastructure to a P25 phase 2 system.
No, I got it.
During phase 2, we learned that the state of Connecticut and the city of New Britain had entered into a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, with regards to New Britain's two-way radio infrastructure, and the New Britain's RF infrastructure was now part of CLMRN, which is the Connecticut Land Mobile Radio Network. Specifically, we learned that New Britain's 3 RF sites had been brought onto the CLMRN as a subsystem and fully integrated onto the state's core network. I made contact with CLMRN and City of New Britain staff in an effort to see if their subsystem had the capacity to handle the town of Newington's public safety radio needs, and was advised that the system had the capacity, and the coverage maps provided by Motorola Solutions showed a 97% RF coverage within the town of Newington. Permission was obtained from New Britain and CLMRN to allow our public safety teams to test the CLMRN network. Police, fire, and EMS all had the opportunity to test radio communication using 3 CLMRN provided portable radios. Teams conducted radio to radio and radio dispatch communications, and all teams reported being impressed with the RF coverage and system performance of the CLMRN system in the town of Newington. Meetings have been held between the Office of Town Manager, public safety teams, Motorola Solutions, State of Connecticut staff to discuss hardware, software, and subscriber counts. During phase 2, we also received some bad news, which was that the Newington Volunteer Fire Department, who had applied for a federal grant, was not selected as a recipient for a $1.2 million grant, which would have helped offset the cost of this radio project. During phase 3, we've worked on finalizing subscriber counts and equipment requests that were submitted by our police, fire, EMS, and town general government teams. Each of our teams were present when the equipment requests and subscriber counts were discussed and reviewed with Motorola Solutions and CLMRN. Motorola Solutions pricing document was provided and shared with our public safety teams for review. All of our teams were asked to provide Town Manager Chapman with a 10, 20, and 30% reduction plan for the equipment and their subscriber counts, along with an impact report that these reductions could have on their line of business. Town Manager Chapman will be reviewing the reduction plans, and I will be doing so with him. We'll be following up with those teams to discuss the reductions and the operational impacts if we were to go forward with any of those cuts. During phase 3, we learned that the Newington Volunteer Fire Department may be eligible for an additional or a different grant for up to valued at up to $1 million. And that might help offset costs in the future, depending upon if we receive that or not. During phase 4 of the project, I made contact with the Director of School Security and Residency of the Newington Public Schools, Mr. Mike Morgan, regarding their two-way radio needs. Although they are currently happy with the existing system and don't have any major issues with it, they are concerned about the condition of the infrastructure and how any changes to the existing infrastructure could or may impact their line of business. Mr. Morgan and I have been in communication with Norcom Connecticut Communications regarding our existing system, options to upgrade the existing system, mutual link integration, and DMR options, which are digital mobile radio options, as a solution. And we also plan on meeting with Marcus Communications in the near future to discuss the options with them as well. Budget numbers. These are the things that'll probably scare most of you. Budget numbers at this time range from $4,230,646 as submitted by Marcus Communications for a complete system upgrade, a P25 phase 2 system for our public safety teams, and a new DMR system for Newington Public Schools. This design is based on using 3 RF radio tower locations, 2 of which the town already has usage rights for, but a third site would have to be identified in the southeast corridor of the town in order to provide the RF coverage proposed in this plan. Annual maintenance cost for Marcus's proposal is about $79,000 a year. Pricing obtained from Motorola Solutions to move our public safety and general government teams over to the state of Connecticut's CLMRN platform is estimated at $4,225,000 approximately. And this solution does not require any RF sites to accommodate the plan because we were able to successfully test utilizing the 3 RF sites in New Britain as well as Troop H sites at the north end of town. The estimated, or in that particular scenario, we would have to probably maintain a existing site up on Cedar Mountain. It's Callahan property right now where we're running some of our operations. That would still be needed with the CLMRN solution for public safety, for legacy operations for fire and EMS. The annual maintenance cost for that particular solution is estimated at $68,267 a year. It should be noted that the CLMRN scope of work is for public safety and general government teams only. The CLMRN solution does not allow for schools to use that network resource. During the 2020-2021 CIP budget, Town Council approved approximately $2.8 million over the course of 5 years for a possible radio lease. A little over $400,000 for 2021 and approximately $575,000 per year for years 2 through 5. These budget numbers were based upon the hope that the fire department would be receiving a $1.2 million grant, but unfortunately that was not the case. The town also needs to keep in mind that additional costs will need to be accounted for to accommodate call recording platforms. That's when two-way radio communications back to dispatch and on certain ground frequencies for fire and EMS are recorded for FOI purposes, training, etc. Knox box upgrades. These are pieces of equipment that are in our fire equipment to unlock certain gates and things throughout our districts. Minotaur two-tone voice pagers need to be upgraded a certain quantity for the fire department to work with the state system. And any additional hardware, software, or services required to maintain any of the legacy equipment for fire and EMS. As you can see, we still have a ways to go before we can queue up any requisitions for hardware, software, or services. Challenges ahead and decision points. The town has many challenges ahead and decision points to make. Going forward, the town of Newington may want to consider implementing some formalized procedures to better manage the town's two-way radio infrastructure to avoid ending up in a similar position in the future. Things such as budget management, inventory management, change controls, service schedules may and should be considered, possibly MOUs between the Office of Town Manager, the stakeholders, to avoid and minimize confusion in operations of this critical infrastructure. So where do we go from here? Phase 5 would be the next thing on our schedule, and that would be wrapping up any equipment list, subscriber counts, system design and selection, and then we can move forward with finalizing the operating and capital costs. We will then schedule meetings with all stakeholders, ensure everyone is on the same page, and provide the Office of Town Manager with our recommendations. Once these budgets and permissions are in place, we can proceed forward with the project with either purchasing the solution off an approved contract vehicle, such as the state of Connecticut, or issue an RFP or bid document for the items that are needed. That concludes my presentation on the town's two-way radio system project. If anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them.
If I may just pop in on this, Paul's worked very extensively on this program while he's still doing he was doing facilities till Joe Salomon came on board, and he also continues to direct the IT operations. This has been a major challenge, but in working with the public safety departments, fire, police, and EMS, they've worked well together, and we think we have a program now that will serve the town for the next 20-25 years. We'll enter into an MOU at some point if we go with the state at no cost, which is nice. And we know that the system works. We've tested it. All the departments that are involved have found it to be reasonable and acceptable. The percent, 97% communication capability in the town of Newington is about as best as you're ever going to get. So we're comfortable with this. We'll be presenting to the council probably sometime in January, February, once we finalize the final figures, and present that to you and see where you want to go at that point.
Okay, great. Any council comments? Okay, we'll move on to, I'm sorry, my screen just flipped around. I'm not sure what happened there. I was just trying to figure it out. The next one, Paul, you're going to continue on with us?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. So municipal IT projects review. Thank you.
All right, now pick up from the information technology perspective. So again, thanks for having me here for the update tonight for IT. I hope my presentation will provide you with some insight into information technology and the services we manage and support on a 24/7, 365 basis. As many of you know, I've been employed with the town of Newington for just under 30 years. During that time, I have worked as a police officer, field training officer, bike patrol officer, emergency response team member, detective, E911 coordinator, systems manager, project manager, and just recently, the director of facilities management when the position was vacant during the construction phase of the new town hall. I've been serving as the department head of IT since 2004, and during that time, I've seen a lot of changes with regards to technology. I've retired Wang mainframe systems, Novell NetWare servers, Pop email appliances, and with the support of the Office of Town Manager, town departments, town council, and my IT team staff, maintain a stable, secure, and reliable network infrastructure. IT strives to adhere to our core principles and execute our mission statement, and manage our areas of responsibilities on a 24/7, 365 basis. We provide technology leadership for the town, developing common standards and business solutions so our departments can deliver efficient and effective services through the use of technology. We support 21 unique and separate line of business functions, over 180 software applications, manage just under 400 network users, and serve as technology liaisons between departments and their vendors for their line of business applications. As Chief Information Officer, I report directly to the town manager. My team consists of two network administrator project leaders, one application network specialist, and the supervision of the geographical information system services, which we currently outsource. IT provides support and services within the many organizations that we have here. So network, desktop, help desk, and user support, telephone and public address system, mobile, cellular data, you name it. We pretty much touch something in town and assist with that with the 3 staff members that we have. We both we also support both fixed sites, physical buildings and locations, as well as smart devices and mobile platforms, which are vehicles used by our police, fire, EMS, not EMS, but well, at some point maybe, but police, fire, and highway departments. Items such as mobile data terminals, laptops, tablets, GPS tracking devices, license plate readers, in-car and body-worn cameras, mobile and cellular modems, to name just a few items out on the mobile fleet. We support approximately 370 computers, 120 mobile devices, 100 printers, 200 office telephones, and several public address systems. We also support technology in our conference rooms, digital signage in our hallways, and on top of that, I'm currently serving as a project lead on the town's public safety radio. We also manage and support all network firewalls. Those are the items that try to help us keep the bad guys out and all of our networks protected. Routers, switches, physical and virtual servers, and network storage. We also support uninterruptible power supplies, UPSs. Those are the items that maintain power to our critical units during a electrical situation where we might have a brownout or where we may lose power before generators kick in on our critical items. We also maintain wireless access points, CCTV security camera systems. During the last several years, information technology has played a significant role in the lead up to the design and construction of the new town hall. Prior to any work being completed, information technology had to account for the relocation and routing of electrical services, telephony and fiber optic services for the police department, senior disabled center, Lucy Robbins Wells Library, Newington Public Schools, along with various state of Connecticut services such as E911, Secretary of State, and elections, and the public safety data network circuits. Information technology staff developed a detailed plan and task list to ensure the continued operation of the town's existing network operations, the design, acquisition of hardware, and build of a new data center within the new town hall, and smooth migration of services to the new space while maintaining parallel networks with 24/7, 365 availability. Prior to the construction phase of the project, information technology had to upgrade the town's hyperconverged infrastructure from Gen 1 hardware and software to Gen 2 hardware and software, design and install new telephone pathways, fiber optic pathways to the new building, and to accommodate the installation of new telecommunication rooms, telephony and data outlets, CCTV systems, door access control systems, building management systems, telephone systems, voicemail installation, public address system, and new audiovisual equipment, all while maintaining 24/7, 365 operations. And on top of that, handling our regular calls for service and projects. During the construction phase of the town hall, the position of director of facilities became vacant, and the town also hired a new town manager. The director of facilities position was temporarily filled by town engineer Gary Furstenberg and myself during this time period. I'm proud to say that information technology was recognized during this time period for our achievements and hard work by Hewlett Packard Enterprise in a white paper, a podcast, and most recently acknowledged in the fall 2021 publication of State Tech Magazine. Upcoming projects for 2022 and beyond. We have many projects coming up. On the hardware front, we'll be replacing all workstations, monitors, and laptops for our departments and selected back-end servers. On the office productivity front, we'll be either upgrading to the latest non-cloud version of Microsoft Office or moving to the Microsoft software platform known as Microsoft Office 365. During 2022, we will be assisting the fire department with records management, their records management move from from an in-house system to a cloud-based platform. They currently use Firehouse product, which is a widely used records management system for fire departments, but they're reviewing Red NMX right now, which is another up and coming product. So between the two, they'll have to make a selection on that, and then they're both cloud-based platforms. And we see that with a lot of our vendors now going towards cloud-based subscription services. Additional items on our radar include email infrastructure upgrades, network storage expansion, wireless network infrastructure upgrades, fiber optic cabling to select town buildings, emergency operations center technology design, deployment and connectivity once a site for an EOC and building plan has been identified. We will also be working with facilities management team to improve fire protection services within all town telecommunication rooms. As you can see, IT has quite a workload. Over the years, it has only increased. IT staff members have been working under an extremely heavy caseload, and that was before COVID-19 came into play. So if we take a look at the slide that's up here right now, you're actually going to see technology that is impacting our resources right now. Everything from Zoom conferencing, remote access during COVID, things that we support day in and day out, 24/7, 365. As new technology demands and department use cases increase, it will continue to have an impact on the ability of the IT to successfully manage such a large portfolio of services, applications, and only 3 staff members. As the use of technology increases, the town will also see increases in both capital and operating expenses moving forward. As we move beyond 2022, the town will be forced to make more decisions as to wants and needs. IT solutions help to improve operations and business processes, but they also come at a cost: capital, operating, and people. Staff is needed to manage all of these systems. Additional challenges ahead include new auditing requirements, cloud services, and cybersecurity. Cloud-based services are going to be a large factor of our operating budgets going forward. So some of the things that we used to buy and own for 5 years or 3 or 5 years at a time are becoming subscription-based services that we're going to have to pay on a yearly basis. So something that may have been a CapEx expense is now becoming an operating expense. And that concludes my overview of information technology. Thank you again for the opportunity to provide you with an update on my department. If anyone has any questions, I'll entertain them.
Let me just jump in at this point. All that information that you just received concerning both the radios and the IT are managed by Paul with a staff of additional 3 people. And the workload has been tremendous. The COVID plus the move to the new town hall required his staff and he to work extremely long hours, 7 days a week. And it's not going away, but they've done a great job. And very proud of them, as I am with all of the staff that we have working for us.
Absolutely agree. Thank you. We do have a couple of hands up. Mitch, Counselor Page, sorry.
No, call me Mitch. Thank you. I don't expect a response tonight. It's late. Everybody's tired, but I just wanted to bookmark it. I know we talked before, and sir, your presentation tonight was excellent, and I couldn't keep up. And some of it I don't understand. That's for sure. But security issues and network breaches, ransomware attacks, and so forth. I know that Megan had presented in the past and tonight about potential monies available to help us with that. Again, I'm not looking to get in a conversation. I would just hope we could learn more down the road about, can some grant monies or federal dollars help us with safeguarding our technology and our software and the whole system. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Page. Counselor Donahue?
Yeah, Paul, I was just going to ask you what you're doing in your spare time, but
All right. All right, I don't see any other hands, so we'll continue on. Thank you, Paul, very much for all the information. The next item this evening is Municipal Facilities Management Review. Mr. Chapman?
Yes, this is a program that had been handled by Paul. We gave Paul and Joe Salomon a date certain that by the end of 2021, Joe would be on his own. Paul has handheld him all the way. but he is here tonight to give you a brief overview of what he has found, including the information from the Owens report and his own inspections. And it's going to be a big undertaking. And I'll introduce Joe. He's new to the town. He's only been here about 3 or 4 months. He's been received very well, and he's out there doing a lot of research on the facilities. And we're looking for good things to happen, but we recognize that it's a learning curve, and there's a lot of problems with a lot of buildings that have been neglected over the years, to the point where some of them are going to have to be questioned whether we keep them or we dispose of them. So we're going to turn it right over to Joe, and go ahead, Joe.
Good evening. I guess the new guy goes last. That's how that works. Kudos to my colleagues. They did great presentations. Hopefully I can live up to that. So for those that don't know me, my name is Joe Salamo, and I am the new Director of Facilities here for the town of Newington. I want to thank you for having me as part of your meeting this evening. I'd like to discuss a few things, or a few areas associated with the Facilities Department and how they all fold together. First, I will talk about the foundation of the Facilities Department and our current structure. From there, I'll discuss the Owens report and the facility assessments that were completed prior to my arrival. And lastly, I will brief you on our CIP budget and strategic planning as it relates to the department. Prior to my arrival, the department was without a permanent director since March of 2019, almost 2.5 years. During that time, the department has had 2 interim directors. As you know, it was Paul and Gary. These individuals ran the department in addition to running their own departments and normal responsibilities. This is equivalent to having 2 full-time jobs. It's a very difficult task. I appreciate all their efforts, and it should be recognized. Currently, our team consists of 4 union positions and myself, and the principles and goals I am bringing to the department are honesty, teamwork, accountability, communication, customer service, and Rule 14. If you don't know what Rule 14 is, that's to do the right thing. Our goals are to provide a clean, safe, compliant, and efficiently operating building for the public, employees, and visitors that utilize our facilities. Sorry. The Facilities Department provides around-the-clock building maintenance services for 40+ locations and approximately 290,000 square feet. There are approximately 260 town employees, 620 volunteers, and countless number of visitors that utilize our facilities. We provide a clean, comfortable, and safe environment by maintaining all of our major and minor building systems to operate at peak performance. Each building is unique and requires a different level of service and attention. There are approximately 20 different building components that fall under our purview. We take a proactive approach with our preventative maintenance programs, a practical approach for repairs, and a calculated approach for our upgrade initiatives. On average, the Facilities Department staff completes 550 work order tickets a year throughout our portfolio. Our responsibilities, services, and support reaches every area associated with the town of Newington. This work is in addition to our internal projects we identify throughout the year and complete annually through our operating budget. Now I would like to jump into the Owens report. In January of 2021, Owens Realty Services, in collaboration with Fryer Architects, presented to the council a facility condition assessment of 37 locations. This presentation included priority lists according to Owens and Fryer, and the following is a monetary breakdown of the work recommended via the report. These numbers are based on a 10-year plan. As you can see them on your screen, there's over $57 million of work that was identified through the report. This is a big number that equates to an enormous amount of work. Unfortunately, this number doesn't include soft costs or inflation either, so it's something that we have to keep in mind. The Owens report is in excess of 3,800 pages and does a deep dive into each building's health. This report was a sound investment and a needed resource. It will assist in developing an essential master plan for the town of Newington. Unfortunately, it has uncovered that the deferred maintenance method has caught up to the town. Additional evaluations, life expectancy modeling, critical thinking, and tough decision making are all vital when finalizing the future needs of our infrastructure. This process will not be easy. It will not happen overnight, and there will need to be a combined effort from multiple agencies as well as compromise and consideration from the town as a whole. The recommendations and strategies provided by the report are simple and solid solutions. It's up to us to make the investment based on our need and not our wants. The four major recommendations are capital project planning, asset facility management planning, preventative maintenance plan, and historic building decisions. For capital project planning, we need to physically evaluate each property and any other evaluations previously completed. Prioritize funding based on our need rather than our want, data, and critical thinking. A comprehensive and diligent process will be followed to determine the best use of these buildings, the best use of this funding. For number two, the asset and facility management planning. We want to look within the department. You know, the old model, this is the way we've always done things, or this is the way it's been done, doesn't mean it's always the way, it's not always the best way or the way we will continue to do things. We need to evaluate our operation as a whole, the inventory, the budgets, full-time employees, equipment, and contract services. We will make changes that will enable the department to manage our assets accordingly. Preventative maintenance plan. This is the area I am most excited about. I have interviewed and scrutinized 5 companies with the help of the IT department and Paul specifically. Under separate cover, I provided you an example of one of this software solutions. This will help you better understand the depth and degree to which this type of tool will assist the town. Purchasing and implementation of this asset management software will help us with our work orders, our preventative maintenance programs, our CIP budget, life cycle modeling, and vendor compliance. 4 is our historical building decisions. Realistically evaluate the relationship and/or responsibilities for these properties. And not just the historic properties, but all of our lease agreements. This may or may not be a tough decision to make or to look at for some of us, but it has to be looked at in its entirety. On the left is a slide provided by the Owens Report that identified some of the most problematic roofs in town. Since my arrival, I've primarily focused on the roofing projects for the general government, as I am not responsible for the public schools. The highlighted areas are those that have been completed or will be completed soon. A couple of those highlights are the Lucy Robbins Wells Library has been recently completed. And that's the whole roof except for one section that was done just prior to my arrival. The American Legion roof has been completed, in the ambulance building is under contract. We're having some material procurement issues thanks to COVID, but we are under contract and that will go in the spring. The Kellogg Eddy House and garage are ready. They're designed, they're ready to go. We applied for a grant through SHPO and we'll hopefully hear something in January, February about that grant, which will help fund 50% of that project. A couple of the other projects were done prior to my arrival, just prior to my arrival, which you can see there. Third topic I want to discuss this evening is the CIP budget. In the near term, I want to continue to digest an enormous amount of information. Continue to evaluate priority lists provided by Owens and compare those to the town of Newington's immediate needs. Continue to coordinate project repairs and upgrades to multiple locations. A couple of those projects are the RTU curb replacement here at the town hall. Some other future roof repairs at the town garage, salt shed roof replacement. We are installing a heated stair system at our emergency exit for our gymnasium here at the municipal complex. So those are a few that are slated to happen by the end of the year, into the beginning of 2022. The long term, Assess each building's value to the town, evaluate the building's needs and the programming provided to the taxpayers and or the staff that utilize each building. Is the programming sustainable within the space? Is there going to be growth and decline that we need to account for? What is the relationship between the town and the occupants? What makes sense, our needs versus our wants? Alternative options. Do we sell something? Do we donate it? Do we look at demoing something or repurposing it? These are all decisions that will have to be made collaboratively, and we'll go through the proper channels, obviously, before any of those type of decisions are made. I'd like to create a new priority list or a master plan that best fits the needs of the future of the town. Collaborative effort between all involved will definitely be required. There'll be some difficult and critical decision making. And then at that time, we will present, or I will present with the town manager, present the findings to the town council for their approval. This slide is just an example of a tool that I utilize to manage and track our projects, primarily CIP, but there's other operating projects on here as well. I wanted to show it to you so you know you can reach out to me if you have questions or you want to have some more information. I have this information pretty readily available and would be happy to share it with you. Wanted to point out an observation. I've only been employed here for a little over 4 months, and I am impressed by so many things here in town, quite honestly. My colleagues before me are a great example of that. Something that stood out to me as well are the words on the seal, growth and progress. So somewhere this type of thinking was lost a little bit in the facilities department. It is my goal to keep these powerful words in the forefront as we care for and plan for our building's needs and future. I think it's important. And I think it's a powerful statement that we see every day. Lastly, it's with the growth and progress mentality that I offer you some of our next steps. I will evaluate the department size and capabilities. I will be proposing a mid-management level operations and project manager in the very near future, hopefully in January, if not sooner. Implement the new building management software. The selection process is almost complete, as I previously said. This is going to help identify life expectancies. It's going to help with CIP budget and asset management for all major and minor building components. Similar to the way that the highway garage and Rob have a vehicle replacement mechanism in place. Once we have the life expectancy modeling portion of our asset management in place, which this software will help, it'll be easier for us to make those decisions on replacement time and value or cost associated with them. I'm going to build a comprehensive preventative maintenance program, including weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual inspections. It's really the foundation of a strong facility department. We're currently doing this. We just do it on paper and not in and once we have the software, we'll be transitioning to an electronic version, which will allow us to capture all that data and incorporate it into critical decision making. And streamline and formalize all of our vendor services. I want to create a town-wide standard of practice. Create an on-call vendor list, which list with fixed costs, which can be used by multiple agencies. And what I mean by that is I would go out with RFPs for plumbing services, electrical services, HVAC services, emergency disaster response. And once we have fixed costs and companies under contract, other town agencies would be able to use them accordingly, and they wouldn't. The cost would already be locked in for us at a very favorable rate. Develop an operating and CIP budget more conducive to the needs of our town and buildings, and create policies and procedures for all things facilities. SOPs are standard operating practices for facility staff and policies for the building occupants to follow. I've noticed that we are lacking in this area, and that's something that I want to bring to the forefront and make sure that we have them, because I think it's very critical. I want to define the relationships and the roles of the facilities department with those of our other agencies, fire, EMS, public schools, the historic houses, and our leased properties. I think it's important to have open dialogue and definitive lines moving forward. I want to thank you for your time. And as Keith said prior, this is a snapshot into the facilities department and my short time here with you. I'm open to questions and I'd be happy to answer them the best I can or at any other later date.
Joe, if I may just jump in here, Did you go, can you just go over the library roof situation again? I know you've been working on it. Where do we stand with that?
The library roof is complete. We replaced all the architectural shingles throughout the roof except for the very back section, which was done just prior to my arrival. And we replaced the EPDM roof that's on the in between the skylight and the slate roof of the original building. The only areas of roof that weren't done were the rubber membrane roof that have 7 to 9 years still of warranty and life expectancy, or probably more than that in life expectancy, but 7 years of warranty life left on it. There are just a couple small punch list items that the contractor's returning to fix for me or to correct for me, but nothing major at all.
I just want to point out that the ambulance building and the library are two buildings that had been leaking rainwater for a long period of time, years, in fact. And in the short time that Joe's been here working with Paul and others, those roofs now are in good shape and should last for the next 20 years, we'll say. But it's just an example where things that should have been done when they became a problem were ignored. And, you know, it comes back to bite us because the costs are just increasing on a lot of the work that would have been a lot less expensive if it were done in a timely basis. So as with the streets, as with the, you know, the whole radio system and the, you know, all of the things that you were seeing presented tonight, we can't afford to, you know, get into kicking the can down the road any further. We must address these things and keep up with these things. Otherwise, you're never going to be in a good position financially. And the buildings will always have problems. So I think with Joe on board, and he's going to be requesting an assistant to come in and help him, a new position, I think we're on the way to having the general government buildings in fine shape over a period of several years. Thanks, Joe. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. It's we've only seen you on screen once or twice, so it's good to see you again. And I really appreciate the thoroughness of your presentation for sure. It answered a lot of my questions. I really appreciated you mentioning the idea of building relationships and determining the lines between who is in charge of what regarding some of our buildings, because there are some really blurry lines and how to handle some of our facilities. So I'm glad that that is on your radar to try and kind of work on and figure out over time. And we're here to help in any way we can, certainly, and help define those lines as well. I was going to wait till later to share this, but you did mention the American Legion roof, and I was going to do it later, but we did receive a nice thank you card from them. To all of us and signed by quite a few of the members at the Post, really expressing their appreciation for us getting that project done. So just wanted to mention that as well. Any other counselors have any questions or comments quickly? Nobody? All right.
Mayor, if I may just finish up things here. I just want to point out that what you saw tonight in the last 2 hours, we'll say, was an example of the best staff that you could find. These people know what they're doing. I think for a while over the years, they weren't allowed to really get into their jobs the way they should have. But in the future, they're professionals. They know what they're doing. And I have 100% faith in all of them. It's been a great ride for the last 2 years, getting to know some of these people and bringing on some great people. And it's not just with those that you met tonight. You will be meeting others that are just as good, that are new and old employees working together. We have a massive team here of the best employees, not only the department heads and the management, but also the rank and file employees. You could not find better employees. So I just want to say that.
I second that. I agree. Absolutely.
100%.
Okay, folks, thank you, everyone. And thank you for hanging with us so late. I know it's a late night for everyone. We do have a few more agenda items, but thank you to all of you who presented this evening. Be ready for your inboxes to fill up with some questions, I'm sure. All right, folks. We are going to move on now. The next item under new business and last item under new business is the 2022 annual regular meeting calendar. So this is new this evening. We'd be looking to take action on this in January. And we have before us a complete list of when our dates would fall based on the fact that we meet on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. And so you'll see the proposed attached schedule. In his memo, James, on behalf of Keith, mentioned that there are 3 meeting dates that the council may wish to review. The first is Rosh Hashanah on September 26th and 27th. The second is Sukkot on October 10th and 11th. And finally, there's Election Day on November 8th. I know in the past we've not had a meeting on Election Day typically, but I think sometimes it's on the schedule and we cancel it. So I would just throw that out for consideration. We don't have to decide this tonight, but if there's any questions or comments tonight, we can entertain that, and then we can certainly discuss more at the January meeting and finalize it then. Any thoughts? Okay. All right. We will take a look at it, review it, and we can certainly review and talk more at the January meeting when we consider adopting it. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So we already entertained items 9, 10, and 11. So we'll move straight to item 12, which is written and oral communications from the town manager.
You're still
Mayor,
in.
We
I'm sorry,
put item
Ben.
H on there.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. I am so sorry. I didn't write it big enough on my agenda. We have
No problem.
item H we added, which is the job description for the operations project manager. A7. Keith, I'll let you take this over. I know Joe mentioned it, but
Yeah, what it is Joe's been on board now for 4 months. And it's become apparent that, you know, they also have a very small staff, as he pointed out. And we're looking to expand the role of facilities. And with all of the challenges that are being faced in the new way of doing business and developing a strategy and replacement program and renovation program, and it's something that needs more help. And Joe can't do everything, plus on a daily basis oversee the maintenance staff and the custodial staff. So this person would become an assistant to Joe and hopefully be well qualified. The requirements are pretty high on this position, and that will become a key position on a daily basis to make sure that the daily operations run efficiently while Joe spends his time on the capital improvement aspects and the long-term plans. So we just like you to look at this. We'll talk about it later in the new year, but it is something that I wanted to at least give you a taste of what we're looking for this area. We're also going to be looking for an expansion of several of the other areas that we talked about tonight with more manpower. It's just, you know, we run a very, you know, we'll say thin support staff here. It's worked well, but if we're going to really get serious about doing what we want to do to make this town really, really shine, then we're going to have to invest on some staffing. So this is just one of the examples, and I'd like you to look at this, and then when we're ready to talk about it, you'll be familiar with what we want and what's going to be included in the job.
one quick question, Keith. We can discuss the specifics of it later, but so this is adding a new position, and is this just a matter of approving the job description? And when would the hiring be looking to happen? Is it within this fiscal or next fiscal?
Well, right now, if you recall, you had, I believe, 140,000 or 160,000 for a consulting company to oversee the facilities. And we're not supporting that. We'd much prefer to have a staff member support the facilities under Joe's direction. So the money is there now. We would be looking, the sooner the better to get this position in. And it would not increase the budget at all for next year for this position.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. And we can ask more detailed questions, I'm sure, later. All right, folks, so
Yep.
take a look at that and we will have that on our January, I believe it's January 11th agenda. Okay. Thank you, Counselor Mickey, for reminding me of that. Now we're going to move on to written and oral communications from the town manager, Mr. Chapman.
Yeah, I just want to reemphasize on the COVID issue. You know, we're trying to do the very best we can under extreme conditions in this regard as well. And I know that I'm getting beat up pretty much, and I don't mind taking the heat, but I don't control what's going to happen with COVID. I can only respond in the best way we can to protect the citizens of the town and to still provide the services. All of the buildings are on a limited basis open. Anyone that needs services can come to any of the buildings and be serviced. It's suggested that you make an appointment prior to coming. It's also suggested, particularly for a town business, if you want to come to the town hall, if you can do it through some other means, rather than coming to the town hall with all its COVID situation, we're recommending you do that. I mean, technology today is pretty amazing. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that it is my responsibility to determine how we're dealing with COVID. It is the recommendations that I get from the Director of Health, but the buck stops at my office. And I'm going to continue to do what I think is in the best interest of our community. And I know some people will never quite accept that, but I'd rather err on the side of safety rather than have something bad happen. And we do have a staff that I have to protect, and I'm obligated to protect them. And we don't know who's just walking into this town hall and where they're going, if the doors are wide open, and what facilities they use. And you know, we can't have people following other people around. So we have a system in place, and it's maybe inconvenient for some, but hopefully we prevent somebody from getting sick. Thank you.
Council comment or question?
Did you still want the item from cemetery you asked for?
Remind me, James, what is it about?
You had asked that to come on for the agenda as well.
I did?
You did.
I don't remember. Okay, well, it's the council has this report, correct?
No, they haven't received it yet.
Okay,
This
yeah.
is coming under your report.
It's just a review of what's been going on in our cemeteries. So I don't think anything needs to be said any more than, again, the cemetery is even busy. Unfortunately, maybe some of it's due to the COVID. I don't know. That's enough. I can comment.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko?
Yeah, at our last meeting, there was discussion, significant discussion from residents and also among us regarding the Ethics Commission.
Yeah.
And I think either James or the town manager was going to look into that. And because right now, the way it is, we don't even know if there's anybody on it, are the positions filled, and what would happen if there was a need for a meeting. I mean, there's no procedures, there's no process, who would call it. It just seemed we need some structure.
Yeah, the ethics committee is being reactivated, we'll say. I actually have contacted several of the current or past people that have served, that want to continue to serve. I believe that the leadership, at least Tim Menke has been involved. I don't know if Mitch has been involved, but James, you would know more than that area.
Yeah, last Friday, Councilor Menke had stopped in and had sent an email earlier on a request to review on the Board of Ethics. So I did supply him with that list because he does have some members that are needing to be reappointed, as well as all 3 members needing to be reappointed under the unaffiliates of the town manager. Mitch, I will get with you on your membership because I do believe you have 1 member. I can't remember it now, but it's not in front of me. So we can make sure that that is set and to go. At this point, they have not met since 2017, so I am looking to consider them as a new meeting committee, which means myself or the town manager would call them to order. We'd get a chairman in place and we'd have a meeting going forward on them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Page?
And again, it's late. I'm not looking to get into anything tonight. I just want to make a couple comments. I appreciate all the information tonight, Mr. Chapman, from all your staff. It was a lot, and I appreciate it. I look forward to talking more about dates and deadlines and allocations. I know that's our work ahead of us because that really puts teeth into it. I also look forward to meeting with Representative Turco and members of this body and Police Chief Clark, just to learn more about our police officers' needs for technology. I know we've talked about this, we'll continue to talk about this, but I just want to make sure that we're supporting our police officers. And I know we all do, obviously, state issues notwithstanding, and we can talk about that some other time. But let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, radio project, again, I want to find out about, well, we're going to work on getting those dates and locking that in the Owens projects and those priorities. And I appreciated mention of the website updates. That was also appreciated very much. And that last comment is, to what extent, and again, for another night, do we engage in multi-town vendors when we make purchases of items? Is that realistic? Is it practical? And can we save money doing that? And I think that's all I got tonight. I appreciate it.
If I may, I just would like to respond back to a comment that was made at the earlier public participation concerning the monthly reports. We recognize that the monthly reports have, gotten behind for a number of reasons, including the workload that the individuals have had to do, particularly because of COVID. But what we're doing is I've asked that the monthly reports be current going forward. I will use those monthly reports at our meetings under communications from the town manager. There are 3 or 4 monthly reports that are still overdue. They will be completed. However, moving forward, starting this month, you will be getting the most current monthly report, and that's what I will be reporting on at each meeting. So that should address that problem.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, I don't see any other hands up, so we'll continue on. Next item is council liaison and committee reports. Anyone? Deputy Mayor?
I know everybody wants to get off, but just 2 real quick updates. Councilor Rada and I attended the Economic Development Commission, and the major highlight was the election of officers. Teresa Avery is a chair, the vice chair is Maria Payne, and the secretary is Dana Havens. And then I also attended the TPC meeting where they also had their election of officers. The chair is Dominic Payne, the vice chair is Anthony Claffey, the secretary is Garrett Havens, and the CROG reps are Tom Gill with Steve Woods as alternate.
Thank you for your report. I don't see any other hands up, so we'll continue on. Next item is public participation. In general, any member of the public may join us in the Zoom application, raising your hand in the participants window or on your phone. *9 will raise your hand for us to be able to see you. And the first is Ms. Mazzacoli.
Hi, Sue Mazzacoli, 149 Harris Drive. Almost went to bed at 9, but it was actually the reports of our town employees that got my attention. A lot of details, very thorough reports, but I appreciated all of it. I also agree that we need an operation project manager. I also feel we need 2 more employees in the IT department. I don't know if that was mentioned, but it's my suggestion. I don't know what that counts for, but hopefully that'll be something that you look at. The other concern I have is we're going to be down 8 officers, police officers in February. That was conveyed during the Police Community Council meeting, and I'm very concerned about that. I know this council approved of a bonus as an incentive. I don't know if you call it a bonus, but an incentive of an extra $5,000 to attract officers to come to Newington. I'm getting very concerned. I think maybe we need to up that amount. If you look at the surrounding towns and what they're offering, we've got to match that. So thank you very much for hanging in here. Thank you very much for volunteering your time for our town, and so impressed with our town employees tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mazzacoli. The next member of the public with their hand up is Ms. Lyons.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I too was impressed with the presentations that were given tonight. Some of the subjects that were touched upon, I've been hearing about for years now, and I think that the town manager and the staff will agree that too many things have been kicked down the road and the maintenance has not been the best. I know with the town hall reno for 10 years, we kept hearing wait until we renovate, and then we waited until we renovated, and it was 35 million later or whatever it ended up costing us. So hopefully this is the third facilities manager I've sat with during CIP meetings, and the third town manager, and several other staff has changed. Hopefully there'll be some continuity, and this master plan that he speaks of, I think, is great. Some of you that were on the CIP know that I have 2 Christmas stockings that I would be very happy to let him have. One says, I want, and the other says, I need. And every year I suggest you put their requests for funding into those separate stockings and pick out the ones that they need, not the ones that they want. Thank you to the town manager for the explanation on the monthly reports. I didn't even realize that they weren't there until someone posted on Facebook a question, and I suggested they call in and ask the question, which is what I did. So I appreciate you explaining that to me. The roofs on the Kellogg Eddy House and the American Legion were discussed ad nauseum with 2 different facilities managers, and I'm happy to hear that the American Legion is done. I hope that there is some sort of clarification as to what the town is responsible for as far as that building. I know every building is a little bit different. The Kellogg Eddy House, that is a shame. I think the original roof was of poor quality. The second facilities manager was going to fix it, and here now I guess we're waiting for a grant to help take care of that. It was disappointing to hear that. But that being said, I think that the last thing I have to say is Councilor Page, when they were discussing the bike routes and things like that, did it bring you back to probably 10 years ago when you formed the committee for Walkable Newington? Had a gentleman come in from West Hartford speak about the bike routes and what they were doing in West Hartford to make things easier for the people that were walking and riding? If only they had listened then, it might have been done now. I hope you bring forward some more of your great ideas that you had then, and this time maybe people will listen. Thank you all. Have a good holiday. Stay safe, stay well. And just on the final note about this COVID situation, Mr. Chapman, I myself do not blame you for what you have put in place. I think it's excellent. I just think that the town website, when they send out notifications to people such as myself that sign up for notifications, that when changes are made, that the changes should be reflected and they should be sent out to the people. And that's, I think, is where the big problem came in, is miscommunication with the public, with the IT department. And I'm sure it was probably because Megan was sick, but maybe that explanation should have been given sooner. Thank you. Take care. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. Next is Dana, is the caller ID.
Hi, it's Dana Havens, 113 Stoddard Avenue.
Welcome.
Hi. This is actually for Keith and Megan, who I don't think Megan's still here. But I just want to start off by saying that I agree with the decisions that they've made regarding COVID, but I want to give them a bit of a perspective that maybe can help explain why some residents are frustrated or even angry over some of the guidelines. And I think that revolves around us parents, because our children are now going to school, every one of them, every day. So they're no longer social distancing. They're playing sports in school, after school. Even the barriers in the lunchrooms between the kids sitting at the tables are gone now. Although I'm assuming that in elementary school, they're probably still there. I would hope, since they're not all vaccinated, but who knows? And now they even get to stay in school after known exposure, as long as they're not being, showing symptoms. So, we see this happening, and then we see a Board of Ed member complaining about everything. And I think people just kind of lost their minds, like, yeah, why is this closing? So I'm sorry, but it can get confusing, especially for us parents. And I think that's kind of who was rolling the ball, but I wasn't one of them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't see any other members of the public, so we will move on to remarks by counselors. Hold on. Counselor Mankey.
Yeah, I don't want to make this any longer than this night it has already been, but I just had the opportunity to volunteer with Human Services, both for the Thanksgiving food deliveries and now for the holiday deliveries. And I just want to compliment that department. They're kind of unsung heroes, but they do a lot of work to provide Christmas gifts or holiday gifts to members in our community. And I just want to compliment them. Carol Lebrecka does a great job managing the whole process. There's tons of volunteers that help out. But also I'm amazed at the generosity of our town, of people who donated money and toys and gift cards so that people can have a little better holidays that maybe wouldn't be able to afford them. I was able to deliver some gifts today, and the people I delivered to really appreciated what this town does for them. It's not mandatory. It's some cases unexpected, but I just appreciate the generosity of our town that we can go out and take care of those less fortunate than us.
Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Deputy Mayor Draco.
Yes, and also I want to do a quick shout out to Rob Hillman and the Highway Department. The leaf collection this year was stupendous. It was a strange year. The leaves came down very late, but they did several runs through town. They were very diligent. The communication was good. And it's just a service that, almost every resident in Newington can make use of and does make use of, including, people in the condos, because the highway department, takes those leaves as well from their contractors. So anyways, shout out to Rob and your crew. Thank you very much. And to everybody else, happy holiday, happy new year, and see you next year.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anyone else? I mentioned earlier the thank you note from the American Legion, but we also received a thank you note from Marilyn Camillo. Councilor Camillo's father passed away, and she sent us a thank you card for our expression of sympathy during that difficult time. So I wanted to let the council know that. And before we leave, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, whatever holiday you celebrate out there. I wish you and your families all the best, everyone at this table, but everyone out there in our community of Newington. Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and Happy New Year, because we will be seeing you after the new year. And may 2022 bring us a little bit better, maybe a little less COVID than this year. That would be my wish. I don't see any other hands up, so we're going to move to, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by
Third.
Councilor Mankey, seconded by Councilor Donahue.
Third,
Any
fourth, fifth.
discussion?
Yes.
No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned at 11 p.m. Thank you,
Happy
everyone.
holidays, everybody. Holidays,
Happy
everyone.
holidays. See you next year.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.